All right, good evening, everyone. It's all right, good evening, everyone. It is 6:03. We're going to go ahead and start tonight's meeting. Everyone, for safety reasons, let's please, if you guys can, find a seat.
Good evening, everyone. Online translation services are available tonight. Once the feature has been enabled, all Zoom participants will need to select the interpretation globe that will appear at the bottom of your screen. You will then select your preferred language. The options that will appear on your screen this evening is English and Punjabi.
All right, let's go ahead and please take roll.
Commissioner Lide.
Here.
Commissioner Calandra. Commissioner Diaz.
Present.
Commissioner Kreiner.
Present.
Commissioner Shergill.
Present.
Vice Chair Bray.
Here.
Chair Vang.
Here, thank you. We'll start tonight's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone, please stand. Ready? Begin. I'll go ahead and read the procedures for the meeting tonight. This meeting is being conducted in person and electronically. For each matter considered by the Commission, there will first be a staff presentation, followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Testimony from supporters of the project would then be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. The applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to closing the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing length of public debate, all public testimony from those in support and opposition of the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The 3 lights on the podium next to the microphone would indicate the amount of time remaining for the speaker. The green light will be turned on when the speaker begins. Yellow light will come on with a soft bell ring when 1 minute is remaining. The speaker should be completing testimony by the time the red light comes on, with the final bell indicating time has expired. All in-person public testimony must be presented to the Commission at the podium. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the Commission in making its land use determinations. If you challenge these land use matters in court, you may be limited to raise only those issues you or someone else raised in oral or written testimony or before the close of the hearing. We'll start with the agenda approval. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Good evening, Chair Vang, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Israel Trejo with the Planning and Development Department. There are no changes to the agenda. I do have some yellow speaker cards, if I can hand these to you.
Yes, that's fine. All right, thank you. Do we have any commission who wants to make any changes to the agenda? Any motions to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made by Vice Chair Bray, a second by Commissioner Kreiner. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion's approved. Under consent calendar, we do have meeting minutes for February 5th and February 19th of 2025. We have any comments? A motion by the commission to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion made by Commissioner Calandra, second by Commissioner Diaz. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion's approved. Any reports from the commission?
I do have something to say.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to express my opinion about following decorum, and prior to any motions being made, that we all deliberate and give our insights as commissioners. I believe through deliberation, we're able to come up with better motions as opposed to then amending them and then giving our insights, especially when it comes to recommendations or motions that may potentially change citizens' lives or business owners' lives.
Noted. Sounds good. We'll make sure that for tonight's meeting, then before we make any motion, we'll allow each planning commissioner to speak then. Okay?
May I please add something?
Yes, go
So
ahead.
yesterday, there was a community meeting, and I was very impressed. Actually, that meeting was west of 99, 93722, 93723. Sometimes people call that area Forgotten Fresno. It was very exciting to go see the community, to meet the citizens why are we here? The reason we're here because, we want our Fresno to be the best city. So a lot of the community members actually reached out to me and spoke to me. There were like hundreds of them for the West area neighborhoods Pacific plan. So I would like to humbly request if we could get more updates on that, because for many years, right before COVID, including myself, we worked on that plan for over 3 years with the community's input. So for the West Area Neighborhood Pacific Plan, so people are asking where it is and when will it move forward.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the commission? All right. We'll move to continue matters. First item is item 7A ID 25250. This is for the consideration of text amendment, application number P23-03472.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Ralph Cachadorian with the Planning and Development Department. We have your PowerPoints up. What we have is for you to consider a text amendment and the related environmental determination made, to consider amending the text to provide for subacute care facilities in the Development Code. The purpose of this amendment is to look into and amend Section 6703 as well as Article 68 of the Development Code in the Municipal Code related to hospitals and subacute care facilities with their terms and definitions. In this case, we would allow a subacute facility to be defined as well as, in the code. Oh, can't turn my page. Okay, here we go. I think I got this thing working finally. Just a little bit of background. In the Development Code under Section 156703, we do have a classification of public and semi-public uses, which we basically have for hospitals and clinics as one category. And there's the definition of what we mean by hospitals and clinics, basically state licensed facilities, medical, surgical, psychiatric, emergency medical services, sick, injured persons. These types of facilities provide for inpatient, outpatient care. Of course, there's also substance abuse, training, research, a variety of services that you mostly will find in certain types of hospitals or clinics. Now, under that provision, hospitals and clinics, there are three subcategories. that are listed. These are use categories. Of course, you've got hospital, as we had defined what it says and states there, specifically medical, psychiatric, surgical services to sick or injured individuals, primarily on an inpatient or outpatient basis, including ancillary facilities for emergency treatment, diagnostic services, training, et cetera, as you see. Clinics, of course, provide quick medical and surgical services, mostly on an outpatient basis, and the definition is there. And then, of course, substance abuse treatment clinics, they're basically a different type of facility other than hospitals or clinics. Now, we are looking to define subacute care facility in the municipal code. There is the definition there. I didn't want to expand on that as much, but I'll try to say that it provides patient care where a patient does not require hospital acute care, but does require more intensive licensed skilled nursing care that's provided to patients in, for instance, in a skilled nursing facility. They are licensed by the state public health and more or less provide the inpatient care, 24-hour skilled nursing, the supportive care, pharmaceutical, physical activities. They're referred by a medical doctor for medical procedures requiring both rehabilitative and therapeutic care after they have a surgery. This is very different from a care that you could have in a residential, under our residential care facilities that you would usually find, like elderly long-term care that you would find in a home, in a residential setting. And again, those are more restrictive as well in the residential setting, only 30 days maximum. There's some requirements there, but the subacute facility would not fit under that type of a residential care facility. Now, what we wanted to do was, in this text amendment, is identify the subacute care facility as an ancillary use to hospitals, which is more appropriate to that. And you can see that we've defined that down and underlined that it is one of the ancillary facilities that we want to call out. Now, in the process of this, besides a public noticing that had been published in the Fresno Bee, as well as put on the city's website for online, it did go to the council district project review committees. They reviewed it and recommended its approval. We also took this project to the Airport Land Use Commission for their input, and they also recommended its approval. So what you basically have before you is to consider and recommend the adoption to the City Council of the environmental determination that was made as a CAD-exempt project that's exempt from CEQA, and then to recommend approval by the Council of the text amendment to amend Section 156703 as well as Article 68 to define subacute care facility and to include subacute care facility as an ancillary use in the description for hospitals. They're happy to answer. That's based on my report. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Quite a while ago, we had a project come before us out on Bullard near Van Ness, and it would fit this description. It was a facility for people who are on long-term ventilators. How would this affect a project like that? Because it is in a residential neighborhood.
The one that you're speaking about at Bullard and I can't remember now, the Faulkner in that area, that pretty much was more of a residential care facility, not necessarily a hospital. We're calling the subacute facility would be a similar and ancillary use to what a hospital would provide.
So even though they had people long-term on ventilators, they wouldn't be considered part of this.
But it's
So-
more residential care.
Yeah,
That's what that was
So it would be allowed still in a residential neighborhood?
I don't know if it would necessarily
I
be
mean,
for that.
assuming this wouldn't keep it from being considered?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It's separate approval for that. Did you want to answer? Yeah. Go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. Philip Segrist, Planning and Development Department. Could I maybe get you to restate that question? I might have a decent background or knowledge on that application.
I'm just wondering how this text amendment would affect something like that project that's already going, but if something like that came up again, for instance, this one, the people are all on ventilators, and it is in a residential neighborhood. So would this then define them as a subacute facility that couldn't be in a residential neighborhood?
No, this wouldn't really affect that type of project.
Okay.
And so that was determined to be a residential care facility, which would include long-term living of patients in there that would receive care, whereas this is more short-term, no longer than 30 days, and would be more appropriate in more of like an office or a hospital-type environment and not like a residential district.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission?
Also like to add that Dirk Poschel, on behalf of the applicant, is also here to address any questions on the requested text amendment.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Do you have any more questions for
No,
me?
you're
or-
welcome. Thank you.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Dirk Puschel, and my business address is 923 Van Ness here in Fresno. I'm here on behalf of a group of Fresno surgeons who would like to perform their surgery services on people and then provide this subacute care literally on their own property. But subacute care is not now defined in your ordinance. So my clients submitted this amendment to text to add subacute care so that they could perform these services. As staff has mentioned to you, we took this to all of your advisory committees. They all supported it. It was kind of surprising to them and to us that it wasn't already in the ordinance, but we're asking tonight that you add it as staff recommends.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. We'll go ahead and go out to the public. Do we have any individuals who would like to speak in support? Any individuals who would like to speak in opposition? All right, we'll bring it back to the commission. This item right here, I'm just going to allow anyone want to make any comments or motion.
Make a motion
There you
to
go.
approve, I make a motion to recommend the adoption of the environmental determination, and as well as recommend approval of the text amendment application.
Second?
All right, we have a motion made by Commissioner Calandra, second by Vice Chair Bray. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion's approved. Thank you. We're going to head to the next item on the agenda. This is for item 7B, ID 25245.
Good evening, Chair Vang, members of the Planning Commission, Adrian Azadoran Gilbert, Supervising Planner with the Planning and Development Department. I'm here this evening to present text amendment application number P24-00794, which proposes to amend the Fresno Municipal Code to allow ministerial approval of office to dwelling conversions in the office zone, housing near bus stops in multifamily zones, infill residential development in mixed-use zones, and new residential in office zones. As we touch on the purpose and background behind this text amendment, I first want to note in April of 2022, the mayor prepared and presented the One Fresno Housing Strategy, which called for provisions which are included in this text amendment. In November of 2022, the city received a pro-housing designation from the California Department of Housing and Community Development. This also included a commitment to amend the development code to permit housing in non-residential districts. This designation makes the city eligible to receive grant funding for a variety of housing projects and initiatives. In 2023, the City Council approved resolution number 2023-064, which instructed staff to prepare a text amendment to address the changing dynamics of office work, citywide housing shortages, and permit housing in non-residential districts. In addition, the 2023 to 2031 housing element, which was adopted by the City Council in 2024 and certified by HCD this year, includes a program which requires amending the municipal code to allow higher density housing in high and relatively high resource areas, including allowing residential development in the office zone district. So text amendment application number P24-00794 proposes ministerial approval of the following: office to dwelling conversions in the office zone district, multi-unit residential development in the RM1, RM2, and RM3 zone districts on parcels within 1/2 mile of an existing bus stop, multi-unit residential uses in the NMX, CMX, CMS, RMX, and CR zone districts on parcels within the city's infill priority area, and new standalone multi-unit residential development in the office zone district. The provisions I just mentioned prescribe opportunities for ministerial approval, which would be processed as a zone clearance. And just to take a step back, I do want to provide some insight into ministerial approval. Ministerial approval allows streamlined review of a project by providing a clear set of requirements in which a project must comply with. These requirements are established in the development code to provide a clear determination of whether a project complies with a standard or not to be eligible for ministerial approval. Projects eligible for ministerial review are reviewed by staff at the public counter and processed as a zone clearance. Ministerial approvals do not require deliberation by discretionary bodies, which include the Planning Commission and City Council. In order for a project to qualify for ministerial approval, they must comply with the set of requirements as outlined in the development code. There are instances included in this text amendment that would prohibit ministerial approval of projects in sensitive areas. These sensitive areas include parcels with important farmland, Williamson Act contracts, parcels located in special flood hazard areas as designated by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, safety zones 1, 2, or 3 within the airport influence areas as designated by the Airport Land Use Commission of Fresno County, hazardous sites, or if the project would involve the modification or demolition of a designated historic resource. And just to further note, this text amendment does not propose development of a housing project, but rather establishes a framework for future development projects. And as you can see on the screen here, this text amendment proposes to amend, repeal, and combine and add sections of the Fresno Municipal Code to accommodate the proposed changes. And here we have a map of sites which would be eligible for ministerial approval through this text amendment. As previously mentioned, this is a citywide text amendment and would apply to eligible parcels throughout city limits. You can see parcels in blue would be eligible for ministerial approval of housing in multifamily districts within 1/2 mile of a bus stop. The purple represents parcels in mixed-use districts within infill priority areas. And parcels in red represent those in the office zone districts eligible for either a conversion of an existing office use to residential or new residential development on vacant or underutilized parcels. And the distribution of parcels, as noted on the map here, does align with the pro-housing designation, City Council resolution, housing element, and One Fresno housing strategy to provide for housing in high and relatively high resource areas within city limits and provide for additional housing opportunities in non-residential districts citywide. In order to analyze potential environmental impacts as a result of the proposed text amendment, a mitigated negative declaration was prepared in accordance with the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act. Overall, the MND assumed that over a 30-year period, the proposed text amendment will provide for a capacity of 22,425 dwelling units citywide. The MND was also released for a 30-day public comment period from November 20th, 2024 through December 20th, 2024. I also want to note we do have our consultants from Precision Civil Engineering here this evening who prepared the MND and are available for specific environmental related questions if they arise. As previously mentioned, the MND was released for a 30-day public comment period from November 20th through December 20th, 2024. Notice of public comment was filed and posted with the Fresno County Clerk, in the Fresno Bee, on the City Clerk's website, and on the city-designated website for the proposed text amendment, in addition to email notification which was sent to all interested parties. The document was made available on the State Clearinghouse website, on the city's website, and hard copies were available for viewing at the Planning and Development Department public counter and the Central Public Library branch. Interested parties were instructed to provide comments via email or hard copy mail. The city received comments predominantly from individuals living near Herndon and Prospect Avenues. As you can see here, some of the comments included concerns regarding school safety adjacent to Tatarian Elementary School, ingress and egress onto Herndon Avenue, traffic patterns throughout adjacent neighborhoods, and noise and air pollution related impacts as a result of future projects that would be eligible for ministerial approval as part of this text amendment. Staff also presented the item to all available project review committees and Fresno County Airport Land Use Commission. Comments from committees included concerns over the ministerial provision of this text amendment and questions regarding the California Building Code. As mentioned previously, the city received public comments predominantly from residents in the Herndon and Prospect neighborhoods. Staff evaluated concerns that were raised and are recommending the following modification to address concerns. This modification would include new residential development is prohibited on vacant or underutilized parcels in the office zone district within 500 feet of a school. To conclude, staff recommends adoption of the mitigated negative declaration and associated text amendment to permit ministerial approval of housing projects as noted here, which further includes the proposed amendment to prohibit new residential development on vacant or underutilized parcels in the office zone district within 500 feet of a school. And just to touch on next steps, it is anticipated the Planning Commission's recommendation will be considered by the City Council on March 27th. For more information, please visit our website at www.fresno.gov/P24-00794 or contact adrian.azadorian@fresno.gov or Planning Manager Sophia Pagalatis at sophia.pagalatis@fresno.gov. And that concludes my presentation for this evening. Staff is available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Calandra.
I have a question regarding the exemptions for sensitive areas. School within, something within 500 feet of a school has not been added to that?
So that was an amendment made by staff as a result of comments received. So yes, that has not yet been, it has been added as part of a recommendation to this text amendment.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Bray.
Yes. Would you know, or maybe Jennifer knows, if this were fully built out, I mean, assuming all of this got changed to residential, you said that would provide 22,000 units?
Yes, so the mitigated negative declaration assumed over a 30-year period. This text amendment could add a capacity of roughly 22,425 dwelling units.
And so I've forgotten what the number is if SADA was built out. Isn't it like,
Yes, so it would be around 45,000 dwelling units.
so this could replace half of what SADA would need to provide?
Yes, this assumes over a 30-year period, it does have the capacity.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Here, my question is, what are the benefits of doing this to the city? Are we doing this for the housing, since we have a housing shortage? Like, what's the benefit?
So staff was instructed as part of City Council Resolution Number 2023-064 to prepare this text amendment to address citywide housing shortages, changing dynamics of office work. So the City Council did instruct staff to prepare this text amendment with those reasons included in the resolution.
And are the buildings that are being proposed, are they going to look pretty similar to the neighborhood that they're in? Because, Fresno is huge. I mean, we have so many neighborhoods. Are they going to match with the neighborhoods?
So new development would be required to comply with provisions in the development code. So based on the zone in which a building is located in, it would have to comply with those provisions.
Thank you.
So what, are you able to tell us what the current vacancy rate is for commercial property?
I don't have that information offhand, but I would be happy to look into that.
I just wondered because I know you said with the changing face of, how people work, but maybe referring to the remote work, but what we're seeing, at least in my business, I see every day, more and more businesses are saying no more remote work. So I would just wonder if there is a surplus of commercial property, offices.
Commissioner Calandra?
One of the concerns I have is with changing, providing the ministerial approval in the R1, RM1, RM2, and 3. I really feel
Commissioner
that...
Calandra, my apologies. Can you put the mic closer just so?
Oh, is
they
that
can hear?
better? Okay. No, it's on. There. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I have a concern about the districts, the RM1, 2, and 3, and having ministerial approval for something that, it just seems like the neighbors, the community should have some input on that. And I just don't, I have no problem with the office and the mixed-use zone districts, but I really do have a problem with the RM 1, 2, and 3. And so how can you justify that?
So there are standards as part of this text amendment that are going to be added into the development code that would provide provisions in which, in order to qualify for ministerial approval, the project would have to comply with. So there is already going to be a clear set of standards that would be added into the development code. Staff would then review those standards to ensure the project does comply.
But that doesn't necessarily work to the benefit of the community in which it's located. And I just feel like those projects that are in neighborhoods that are adjacent to residential or adjacent to schools should come before the Planning Commission and the City Council.
And I will add, projects that would be eligible for ministerial approval would be processed, as I mentioned, as a zone clearance. Those zone clearance approvals are appealable. So through that process, that decision could be appealed and that would come forth.
Yeah, but that's only if it needs to be rezoned. So
Only if a project is appealed, not rezoned. So if a zone clearance is issued for that project and that zone clearance is appealed, then that decision would come before discretionary bodies.
Any other questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go out to the public. I have all these cards. What I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and read these cards first. So if you didn't fill out a card, don't worry. We'll make sure we get to you afterwards too, okay? First off, we're going to go to the public. Any individuals who would like to speak in support, I do have one. We have a Mr. Darren Rose. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Sure. Darren Rose, I'm the president and CEO of the Fresno Madera Building Industry Association. I'm here to offer support for ministerial approval of housing projects. We believe that the housing crisis that affects our general region and community, specifically in Fresno, necessitates streamlined approval of these projects. So we understand that this process needs to be vetted and heard out, but we're in support of ministerial approval. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next individual we have, and my apologies too if I mispronounce your name. Feel free to throw a couple words at me when you get here too, okay? We have a Miss Debbie Nard. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Pardon? Okay. My name is Debbie Nard, and my address is 3550 West Spruce Avenue. I live on Valentine and Spruce in the San Joaquin State 2 Division. I would like to just preface my statement by saying that we also had a lot of signed people that couldn't come. We have some older people that it's difficult for them to get down here at night, and a lot of young parents that have children, hard to get here. So I don't know if those were given to you, but we had a lot of people. They all said February 19th, but some of them were for tonight too, and some of them were for both nights. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Vang and Planning Commission members. We appeared before you on May 15th of last year. That concerned the 3- and 4-story apartment complex P21-00989 proposed on Prospect and West Fur. We are aware that there is a new member on the commission, so we included our original objections to that project in your packet because we have the same objections to this text of code amendment and mitigated negative declaration. As you may recall, the Prospect property was rezoned twice before it was rezoned to high-density multifamily as part of the 2030 rezone, which was done during the Christmas season in 2015. This brings us to the week before Thanksgiving this past year when we found this text code amendment, P24-00794, and mitigated negative declaration SCH 2024-110-662, buried in the planning notices. It was buried. The city was hoping to sneak this by us during the holiday season. This was initiated and voted on by the council 2 years ago. This was all going on as we have been opposing high-density multifamily housing in our neighborhood for the past 4 years. Apparently, this text amendment started out to permit multifamily residential development on properties planned and zoned for office with existing vacant office buildings. A letter in your packet will indicate that Salvador Gonzalez of Cash and Properties suggested that the text amendment include multifamily housing on vacant properties planned and zoned for office uses, and now it does. Apparently, due to the citizens' response to this proposed text amendment and mitigated negative declaration, the city has an added amendment to the text amendment which would prohibit residential development on vacant or underutilized parcels in the office zone district within 500 feet of a school. Unfortunately, this only affects 2 parcels. This leaves us with a vacant parcel bordered by Brawley and Beechwood and numerous offices that are currently developed but could become vacant or underutilized at some point in the future. Brawley is a short and extremely busy feeder street. It is the feeder street into the entire east side of Sierra Sky Park, the Beechwood Apartments, United Health Centers with 200 employees, and the garden homes along Beechwood to the west.
Thank you. Next individual we have is Mr. Wesley Kalashian. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Wesley Kalashian, 3240 West Minarets, Fresno, California, 93711. Going north, Brawley is the main feeder into the San Joaquin Estates too. As most of the residents no longer use Prospect, it also carries many people to the school via the neighborhood streets. Since Prospect and Valentine and Beechwood are so congested, Brawley also carries everyone who lives to the east of the garden homes across the street from the existing offices. The school and the vacant lots, when they are developed, we have provided a map showing the 2 short feeder streets and all of the homes, garden homes, 0 lot line homes, condos, apartments in these 3 subdivisions. The homes along Beechwood and Fur are already burdened with heavy traffic at peak hours and street parking from the school. Again, we already have the property on Prospect and Fur zoned for multifamily. This alone will tax a neighborhood designed and planned for low density where the streets are already at maximum capacity during peak hours with no additional development. Councilman Carbasi has said that he instructed the staff not to include the properties in our neighborhood. He further stated that converting offices to housing isn't working as well as first thought housing requires different size pipes. If it isn't working, why are we including it in this text amendment? On the southwest corner of Brawley and Beechwood, it is ironic that years ago, the city would not allow the Blosser family to develop their property because of its proximity to Sierra Sky Park. The Blossers sued the city, which cost the city taxpayers a lot of money. A few years ago, when the city was strapped for cash, a gas station was built next to the open space for the airport. The map provided for this text amendment is difficult to decipher, but it looks like high-density multifamily housing is designated for the other side of the airport open space, which seems ridiculous given the history of that property. We have previously listed additional concerns, including inadequate parking for Orchid Park, no street parking for high-density development already zoned and to be zoned by this text amendment. Prospect, narrow, short street with poorly designed roundabout that does not connect with Valentine, the actual feeder street in the neighborhoods. Traffic patterns have been altered throughout the neighborhood since the roundabout was built. Noise and air pollution impacts. New developments as proposed previously, not associated with this text amendment, have allowed ingress and egress onto the already taxed feeder streets, which cause traffic to back up on Herndon Avenue at peak times, especially if the density is increased as proposed. Seventh one is going to be public safety access to original neighborhoods. Access during peak times is currently impossible during the traffic until traffic clears. We have previously outlined all of the above in detail, so we will not repeat tonight. The city has dismissed our concerns as perceived or potential. Based on the correspondence to the city.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next individual we have is Mr. Bruce Kalashian. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Hi, Bruce Kalashian, 7237 North Gentry. Where do you leave off? Excuse me a minute. The traffic patterns have been altered, not potentially, but last year we took issue with the city assertion that the proposed Prospect apartments, 82 units, would generate less traffic than when the property was zoned for low density. I had to look up BRT, bus rapid transit, but the assertion that we have rapid transit bus system and that cramming people into densely populated up to 45 units per acre apartment complex next to an expressway will make them use the bus is an unproven theory, which may backfire into horrible congestion on Herndon and the nearby feeder streets. This would cause even more pollution when properties are listed for sale. They are given working, biking, and transit scores, checking on property in each subdivision for their transit score. Fairly new concept in the U.S. when they installed it on Prospect. Apparently, the purpose is to keep vehicles moving and not polluting while stopped at a light. I would submit that since it was installed, more pollution has been caused by people sitting on Valentine trying to access Prospect and sitting in backed up traffic on Brawley and Beechwood because they would avoid Prospect. People who exit the neighborhood on Brawley to go east may sit at an extra light on Herndon. We live in a bowl that traps bad air and we have poor air quality. They use ridiculously low numbers for vehicle generation on proposed developments. So it is unlikely that this text amendment will accomplish its goals. If we do not save significant emissions, which is doubtful, we will be using increased power at a very high rates to try to cool the upper stories of these mammoth buildings during long, hot summers. If the residents drive, which is likely the case, they will cause even more pollution. There will also be a lot of water use generated by these high-density developments. We are baffled as to how crowding high-density housing into neighborhoods that do not have the resources to handle it will create health and community pride. These neighborhoods have a long-standing identity, and crowding 5-story buildings into them will not enhance that. We strongly disagree that this text amendment will protect the public health, safety, peace, comfort, and general welfare. It is with justice.
Thank you, sir. Next individual we have is Mr. Tim Cohn. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Timothy Cohn. I live at 4467 West Vandegrift in Fresno. I'll continue. It is just as likely to cause stress and depression. We have patiently waited for Fir Avenue to be put through to Valentine for 30 years. The city is not motivated or financially able to fix the problems they have already caused in this area. They have a $20 billion deficit and growing, so there is little hope for solutions in the near future. They want multifamily because they benefit from the increased tax base. They are telling us they have to pack housing in here to save emissions while pushing a 45,000 home mega development in southeast Fresno. That development, if built, would increase Fresno's annual carbon emissions by 500 million tons, effectively wiping out the city's progress on climate goals for the next 2 decades. The city's figures for pollution reduction and VMT for that project are being questioned also, according to an article yesterday in Fresno Land. This text amendment is not a good plan for this area. It is not proven that it will accomplish the goals it purports to have. It would seem like daycare and property next to the clear zone of an airport should be exempted from multifamily high-density housing, up to 60 feet high and 45 units per acre. We also highly object to the mitigated negative declaration. This would allow ministerial and streamlined approval of high-density projects. This would also erode and eliminate our participation in the development process in our community. We would respectfully ask that you deny the text code amendment and the mitigated negative declaration citywide. If you cannot do that, we would respectfully ask that you approve it with the condition that the properties on both sides of Herndon between Marks and Milburn be eliminated from the map and the text amendment, and that these areas be exempted from the mitigated negative declaration based on the municipal code findings which do not correlate with the resources in this area. Thank you for your time and attention on this matter. And ministerial power sounds really great in streamlining, but people buy their properties with the existing zoning of the surrounding areas. They have a right to expect that to stay in place or be hard to change. Skipping the public review process isn't right.
Thank you. All right, guys. We're going to try to streamline this meeting, and we want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity. So let's be respectful of everyone's time, okay? Next individual we have is a Miss Mary Lourdes Leon. That's fine. If they still want to come up and express their concerns, this is their opportunity. That's fine. I'm going to go to the next individual. I'll come back to you, okay, Miss Mary? Next individual that we have is a Mr. John Krikolkin. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is John Krikorian. I live at 4159 West Alluvial Avenue, and I want to speak from the heart. A few months ago, we were here, and we were very passionate about one project which you unanimously rejected, and it was disapproved. Whenever government wants more power without public input and usurps the will of the people, we are getting closer to authoritarian government. And I don't want to make it a big issue like this is a big political thing, but it gets closer to usurping the will of the people. You are wanting something that is not, that you don't have, and you want it more so you could circumvent code, you can circumvent the public input, and that's not right. And we love Fresno, we love our homes, we love our neighborhoods, but we don't want to have things shoved down our throats, so to speak. And I am totally in opposition to ministerial power. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, it's, again, we all know that you guys are here, just like what the last time we saw you guys. We know that you're very passionate too. And so let's try to streamline this whole entire process, and let's keep those hands quiet, okay? Is Miss Mary, is she ready to speak? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, miss.
Okay, thank you. Mary Lourdes Leon, 3611 West Spruce Ave. I'll try to recover the section that was missed a little earlier. It may not be exact, but when properties are listed for sale, they are given walking, biking, and transit scores. Checking a property in each subdivision for their transit score, the scores are low between minimal and some transit. Some transit indicates that public transportation options are minimal and likely inconvenient to use. It seems like they want to crowd multifamily, multi-story apartments into suburban areas that are not accessible to the destinations that they list in mobility for the carless population and other areas of the text amendment. For example, it would take 3 bus transfers to get to the medical offices at Clovis Community Hospital. The roundabout seemed to be a fairly new concept in the U.S. when they installed it on Prospect. Apparently, the purpose is to keep vehicles moving and not polluting while stopped at a light. I would submit that since it was installed, more pollution has been caused by people sitting on Valentine trying to access Prospect and sitting in backed up traffic on Brawley and Beechwood because they avoid Prospect. People who exit the neighborhood on Brawley to go east may sit at an extra light on Herndon. We live in a bowl that traps bad air, and we have poor air quality. They use ridiculously low numbers for vehicle generation on proposed developments, so it is unlikely that this text amendment will accomplish its goals. If we do save significant emissions, which is doubtful, we will be using increased power at very high rates to try and cool the upper stories of these large buildings. Okay, thank you.
You still have
That's
1
where
minute.
the other gentleman continued on.
All right, thank you. We have a Miss Paula Marodian. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, Miss.
Yes, Paula Moradian at 3877 West Fir Avenue. I'm going to continue here. If the residents drive, which is likely the case, they will cause even more pollution. There will also be a lot of water use generated by these high-density developments. We are baffled as to how crowding high-density housing into neighborhoods that do not have the resources to handle it will create health and community pride. These neighborhoods have a long-standing identity, and crowding 5-story buildings into them will not enhance that. We strongly disagree that this text amendment will protect the public health, safety, peace, comfort, and general welfare. It is just as likely to cause stress and depression. We have patiently waited for Fir Avenue to be put through to Valentine for 30 years. The city is not motivated or financially able to fix the problems they have already caused in this area. They have a $20 billion deficit and growing, so there is little hope for solutions in the near future. They want multifamily because they benefit from the increased tax base. They are telling us they have to pack housing in here to save emissions while pushing a 45,000 home mega development in southeast Fresno. That development, if built, would increase Fresno's annual carbon emissions by 500,000 tons, effectively wiping out the city's progress on climate goals for the next 2 decades. The city's figures for pollution reduction and VMT for that project are being questioned also, according to an article yesterday in Fresno Land. This text amendment is not a good plan for this area. It is not proven that it will accomplish the goals it purports to have. It would seem like daycare and property next to the clear zone of an airport should be exempted from multifamily high-density housing, up to 60 feet high and 45 units per acre. We also highly object to the mitigated negative declaration. This would allow ministerial and streamlined approval of high-density projects. This would also erode or eliminate our participation in the development process in our community. We would respectfully ask that you deny Text Code Amendment P224-00794 and the mitigated negative declaration citywide. If you cannot do that, we would respectfully ask that you approve it with the condition that the properties on both sides of Herndon between Marks and Milburn be eliminated from the map in the text amendment, and that these areas be exempted from the mitigated negative declaration based on the principal code findings which do not correlate with the resources in this area. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Thank you. Next, we have a Mr. Bruce O'Radian. Next, we have Mr. Peter Nunez. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. Peter Nunez, 3717 West Buena Vista Avenue in Fresno, California. Commissioners, you in your wisdom already rejected the proposed building on Prospect and Herndon. By allowing ministerial approval of these types of housing projects, the proposal eliminates opportunities for public hearings and discretionary review. This means residents, neighborhood associations, and other stakeholders lose their ability to weigh in on developments that could significantly impact their communities. The lack of oversight could lead to poorly planned projects that do not align with the local needs or concerns. The proposal encourages high-density housing in areas near transit stops and within designated infill zones. While increasing housing supply is important, rapid approval of projects without case-by-case review could lead to overcrowding in areas that are not designated to support increased population density. It could lead to traffic and parking issues in neighborhoods that lack sufficient road capacity or parking infrastructure, and a strain on public services such as schools, water, sewer, emergency service, and others if growth is not properly managed. Many of the affected zoning districts include areas with established residential or commercial identities. Allowing automatic approval of multi-unit residential developments could disrupt the character of these neighborhoods. Taller, denser buildings that don't match the existing architectural style. Since ministerial approval removes the city's discretion to assess projects based on community needs, there is a risk that projects will be pushed quickly without consideration for long-term livability, a risk of lack of green space, parking, or other amenities that improve quality of life, and a risk of developers prioritizing profit over responsible planning, potentially leading to subpar housing that degrades over time. The proposal includes a mitigated negative declaration, meaning the city believes any environmental impacts can be addressed with minimal mitigation. However, without a full environmental impact report, there may be overlooked consequences such as increased air pollution and traffic congestion, greater strain on water resources, and a loss of urban tree canopy and green space. While the proposal aims to streamline housing development, it does so at the cost of public input, neighborhood character, infrastructure readiness, and environmental oversight. A more balanced approach would include targeted discretionary review, impact assessments, and community engagement to ensure responsible growth rather than unchecked development. The Planning Division's website says, "We work for you." I'm wondering who the you is. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next individual we have is Virgil Arola.
Hello, my name is Virgil Arola. I live at 3841 West Locust Avenue in Fresno. And thank you for listening to this discussion. I stand opposed to the issue that is before you. And my major reason for doing so is that I have a great deal of respect for what the Planning Commission does. You keep our communities well-balanced, safe, and assure that it's a wonderful place to live. I feel that this proposal fully bypasses the Planning Commission, and I think that's something that our community should not do. Further, in my councilman's district, Mr. Carbasi's district, there is no planning subcommission, no project review committee, and I would suggest that you recommend that one be established in concert with some of the other commissioners' districts, councilmen's districts that have those subcommittees. Thank you for consideration of that request, and again, I stand opposed to the issue before you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next individual we have is Mr. Scott Nichols. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Scott Nichols, 3545 West Loma Linda Avenue in Fresno. My wife and I are against the repeal of the Fresno Municipal Code 15-1106 as proposed in the text amendment. Removal of this section of the municipal code would give the city a green light to ignore required road, parking, pedestrian, bicycle route, and traffic signal upgrades under the Fresno Complete Street Policy dated September 26, 2019, with new RM1, 2, and RM3 developments. In regards to the text amendment application, I have the following concerns, and I'll talk about one specific concern. I have many listed, but I only have time for one. Section 4.1A, aesthetics. The study is flawed when it states that there would be less than significant impacts to the scenic vistas with RM3 developments. RM3 allows for the construction up to 45 living units per acre, which could easily house 4 people per unit, and up to 60 feet in height. Apartment units that are 60 feet in height would be a blight on a neighborhood that consists primarily of single-story dwellings, which currently exist along the north side of Herndon Avenue between Marks and Milburn Avenue. And also, I want to point out, these are not high-resource areas. The other thing I want to point out is that if any of the vacant lots along both sides of Herndon Avenue between Marks and Milburn were converted to RM3, it would create an aesthetically unpleasant situation for current residents and for the city. As an example, I will refer the Planning Commission to how much the Clinton Avenue apartments at 1538 East Clinton stand out like a sore thumb when compared to the surrounding neighborhood of single-family homes, and those are only 4 stories high. In conclusion, my wife and I are asking the Planning Commission to use some common sense when developing land for new housing that works for all of our residents. Bypassing years of thoughtful planning with the development code is not what the residents of the city of Fresno expect nor deserve from their leaders. We recommend that the Planning Commission continue to abide by the current 2024 zoning standards and to not adopt the text amendment application P24-00794 and mitigated negative declaration for the city of Fresno. Thank you.
Thank you. Next individual I have is Lenore Schreiber. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Lenore Schreiber, 7421 North Valentine Avenue. Thank you, Commissioners, for letting us speak today. One thing we need to remember, this proposal by staff will not give one new or additional housing in Fresno. Has nothing to do with having any more housing or having housing any quicker. What it does is it serves no civic purpose. What civic good will be done by depriving the Planning Commission of important information? You are going to be cut out. The staff is asking you to give up your chosen abilities to have meetings and to get input from the communities. And that is what planning commissions do. That is why you are on this. That is why you give up your time. And they're saying, no, we can make the decisions for all of you. A lot of us here today are more concerned about one project because it's very obvious this happens to have been in response to that project. But it doesn't just depend upon that. You saw the map. It's all over Fresno. Other people in the other areas are not aware that what they are, but if you agree to this, and I think, Ms. Clinton, you were perfectly correct, how does this help promote democracy? How does this promote transparency? When people will learn that a bureaucrat can make decisions on their neighborhoods ministerially with no input by the citizens. This is very much against the history of what we've done with planning. What civic purpose will be done? We need to have approvals quicker. Yes, so why doesn't the staff come back and short-circuit the procedures? Why don't they get rid of some old regulations? Why don't they look in terms of making it more efficient? Instead, what they've looked in terms of is giving them more power and the Planning Commission, and therefore the City Council itself, less power. I'll give one minor example of what can happen. I was at the last meeting, and one of the things I raised, because I know that corner prospect, am I done now? Okay. They said, I said, you have to walk across the field. It's unsafe. And they asked somebody from the Planning Commission, is there a way you can walk on the streets? And they said, oh, yes, there's a definite way of going on the streets. I went on the streets today, and I went across the fields. To get from this project to the school is almost a mile. To walk across the field is maybe less than 2/10 of a mile. I'm not saying, the reason I'm pointing that out is that's the information the staff gave you. what will happen in other things, and not just our neighborhood. We're here because we're organized and we're sort of upset about it. But every single one of you represents different districts who does not know. Your people do not know that they can take away the power, and your areas also will be changed by ministerial. And maybe in some of your areas, you're not as educated or not as aware of what to do as some of us can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Next individual we have is Sean Johnson. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
My name is Sean Johnson. I reside at 7030 North McCampbell Drive in Fresno. Over the years, I've had the pleasure of supporting compatible developments in our area because I had the voice to do that. I've also had the opportunity to oppose incompatible developments in our area because I had the voice to do that. Ministerial approval of multifamily housing development silences the voices of the residents and the communities whose lives are impacted the most by those developments. It also silences your voice, and it silences the City Council's voice. I respectfully ask that you not adopt this amendment, but in the event that you do, I request that you exempt the parcels along Herndon Avenue between Marks and Milburn so that the residents in that area have a voice in ensuring the safety, infrastructure, and the quality of life in our area. Thank you for your service to our community, which will be greatly diminished if you adopt this amendment.
Thank you. The next individual we have is Dennis Nard. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Dennis Nard, 3550 West Spruce Avenue, Fresno, 93711. Good evening, Commissioners. When I retired as an attorney, I thought the last thing I would be doing public advocacy again. But this is the 3rd time I've appeared in front of the city bodies in the 1 year here. I don't know if I'm to blame or not, but I was the one that found the notice and the hearing notices sent out by Ms. Clark that this amendment was coming forward. And when I found it, I emailed my city councilman, Mr. Carbasi, about what this meant, because to me it looked like it completely changed the zoning process. His response was, "Where did you get this?" So I quickly emailed back that I received the notices from Ms. Clark, and that's the last I heard. So again, we're here on issues regarding our neighborhood, which are very important. It's my understanding that this changes the zoning pattern in that the planning department and their people have the more power in dealing with things that are being rezoned, and that's wrong. It doesn't give us, as the public, any opportunity to respond to this. It changes the dynamic in that the person developing the property no longer has to prove that it's compatible and that the change in zoning is appropriate. Instead, now we have to prove that it should stay the way it was, which is very difficult because in dealing with your body in the 4-story apartment complex that last year, I found that we as the public are not entitled to question anything that the planning department does. We can't get into their reasoning as to why did we make this determination? Why did we judge this? Why did we do this? We are not entitled to that according to the city attorney's office. I want to point out again that these are 2 unique areas, this neighborhood and the airport areas. There's limited access going north into the neighborhoods. And I would ask that you consider that. This is a very small portion of the overall plan. So I would ask that you give us the same consideration as Mr. Cashin got when he sent one letter into the planning department to get a drastic change in the text amendment. I hope you'll listen to all the people here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next individual we have is Sue Williams. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, miss.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sue Williams. I live at 5437 East Montecito. I'm here on behalf of the Sunnyside Property Owners Association. We urge you not to deny this text amendment. It replaces office uses that are necessary to neighborhoods. It defaults to the highest density allowed for multifamily residential on vacant or underdeveloped land in office districts, which will be 30 to 45 units an acre. It is not needed, and it removes the public from the planning process. Ministerial review eliminates the hearing before your board and the city council, prevents review from all council district and design review committees, stops all public noticing to adjacent neighbors who in most cases are either unaware of or under the assumption of what may be developed, eliminates public input, which can be in many cases lead to even better development. Per the mitigated negative declaration for this project, allowing residential uses in office districts only adds 4,868 additional units, or 162 units a year over the next 30 years. The other 17,557 units are currently allowable uses consistent with the general plan land use designation and underlying zone district, and can be developed without this text amendment. The sixth cycle housing element allocation for the city of Fresno is 37,000 new homes by 2031. The city has stated that the inventory of property zoned or planned for residential development already provides sufficient capacity for the allotted number of homes, with a surplus of 6,800 units. All this without SADA or this text amendment. This is the second attempt to prevent the public from having any input on what is developed in their neighborhoods. The city removed the ministerial review mandate for the recently adopted mixed-use text amendment, but kept the open-ended residential density for mixed-use districts in the city's priority infill areas. Simultaneously, the state removed the city's authority to require any parking within 1/2 mile of a major transit stop. This only builds on the mixed-use text amendment. We do not support this text amendment. It is not needed, supplants office uses with the highest density residential units allowed in multifamily districts per code, and most egregiously removes the public, and most importantly neighbors, from providing any input on development that impacts them the most. Instead of eliminating the right to comment, the public should be encouraged to become a bigger part of the discussion through planning and advocacy. For all these reasons, we strongly urge you to deny this text amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, miss. Final card I have is Mr. Rod DeLuca. Good evening. Please state your name, address.
Members of the Planning Commission, my name is Rod DeLuca. I reside at 3840 West Alluvial. Been there 44 years. A lot of the property that you heard mentioned today, I developed. Everything between Valentine and the Sky Park. We built the houses, we built the garden homes, we built the offices. You can see how good our area is and how our people support it. I find it a travesty for you people to give up permission for development or for the county to let a staff person make that decision and keep us, the public, out. I mean, I just can't fathom that. Fresno's grown great without staff doing everything. We've always found a way to get Fresno and make it greater. So giving up that permission, I think, is a travesty on your part. You cannot let staff run everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, those are all the cards I have. Any individuals who would like to speak in opposition? and didn't fill out the card. Go ahead. Go ahead and state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
My name is Jeff Boswell, 3823 West Fur. Mr. DeLuca developed his house 44 years ago. I was about a month behind him. I'm the second resident of that area. And he had the foresight, and the reason that we bought there, he had the foresight to put CCNRs on that whole subdivision, from Herndon to the river, from Valentine to the airport. It provided what you could build, how big you had to build it, whether you could have a two-story house or not, because there weren't very many two-story houses allowed, and if you had a two-story house, you couldn't have windows that looked into your neighbor's yard. We all bought our houses based on those CCNRs that were approved at the time by the city. Now you're going to take that away from us. These are all recorded. There are conditions and restrictions and covenants that we abide among ourselves. And so to take that away from us and put it in, so if I can walk in and talk to a member of the planning department and say, here, I'd like to build this there. I want to build a 60-foot high apartment building when my neighbors can only have a single-story house is crazy. And so I would support your at least exempting. You haven't heard, the whole city is dealt with in what you're talking about today, but this group, for the reasons that they've elucidated, just exempt us, and then you don't have to worry about us. That's my request.
Thank you.
Because I don't want to have to sue my neighbor for building something that he's not responsible to build under the CCNRs. You're going to create mountains of litigation by doing that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next individual who would like to speak who did not fill out a card. Let's let this individual speak first, and then you can follow up. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Matt Nutting, 7223 North Knoll. Thank you very much for listening to us and our opinions tonight. You guys have an important job looking out for us and making sure that the community's needs are listened to and heard. And what this amendment would do is silence our voice. You had asked Mrs. Calandra on who does this help. It helps the developers. They don't have to meet with the community anymore. They don't have to ask our opinion. The only reason that you're seeing such a big turnout from our neighborhood, we're the only ones that know about it. The rest of Fresno doesn't know about it. I was very happy to see somebody from Sunnyside here. The planning department with these amendments, it seems to slip through and nobody catches it. And the reason we're here fighting that other one last year was because that slipped through and none of us were notified. It's not fair, but we work with it. And luckily, we get to speak our voice when they try to change a zone. You guys get to hear from us, and maybe we can stop a bad situation from happening. Our neighborhood, those zoned areas, there might be a good fit for an apartment complex of higher density. I'm pretty sure there is a good fit for that, but if a developer would meet with us and we can come to some terms, there could be a very beautiful apartment complex there that would work with some help with the roundabout to make sure the traffic works, and with a little bit of help from the city, changing that frontage road, which is woefully inadequate. But to accept this amendment would silence our voice, anybody else's voice. We've had planned communities for 70 years. They're planned for a reason so that it works. This scraps that. It throws all that out the window, and they can just plop pieces that don't fit in the puzzle. And that's why we're here. That's why you're here, to keep that from happening. Please don't give them a blanket opportunity to scrap all the planning that Mr. DeLuca and every other developer has done over the past 6-7 decades. Let's stick to the plan, have our checks and balances. If they want to change a zone, get a zoning change for an apartment complex, it might be perfect for that particular area. Let the community have something to say. Give yourselves a chance to approve it and listen to it. But please don't accept this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's have the gentleman Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Mark Sine. I live at 6624 North Marty. I'm opposed to the entire amendment, but I'm in support of removing the section from on Herndon from North Milburn, from Milburn to Marks. But I would think that you guys would find that amendment as a slap in the face as to what you guys do, because your whole point is to be here and plan out the communities and make sure traffic and utilities are sized correctly. And I don't think anybody ever thinks about the utility portions of it. You throw a multifamily housing into an office area and your infrastructure underground is not going to be able to support it. The toilet fixture units for a multifamily housing unit are not the same for an office building. So your sanitation infrastructure is not going to be sufficient for what needs to be there. You also need to think about the water, the gas, and the electricity, because those aren't ever looked at, and it's going to impact the neighborhoods in a major way. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other individuals who would like to speak in opposition? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is JT Contrastano. I live at 7588 North Spyglass. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but just like last time I sat here and formulated my thoughts and wanted to share with you guys. So quickly jotted them out. And really, I just want to start by saying thank you guys for your time. I know at the end of this, when you clock off, you're people just like us. You're going back to your community, your neighborhood, your home. And so I would just ask you to please keep that in mind when you're making your decision tonight after everything you've heard. Starting with Mrs. Azadorian's opening statements, among many other things, she mentioned that this was a framework for development, which I think alludes to the fact that it deserves a reasonable review for a case-by-case basis. A lot of seemingly well-intentioned decisions are made in theory, but disastrous when put in practice, and I think this is one of them. This is a prime example. To Mr. Shergill's point, the neighborhood does not support that. The building would dwarf everything else around it. The proposed project is twice the size of what's there. It's next to a school. It's next to single-family housing. It's not meant to be peered over. To Mrs. Bray's point, people are going back to work. People are no longer, remote working is starting to phase out, so not only are we taking away offices, which is fine, that's a whole separate issue, but now we're adding traffic. People are no longer going to be working from home inside this building, which the developer preached before that, there's not that much traffic. Well, now with people going back to work, traffic's going to increase, and no traffic study has been done on this project. Kind of just beating a dead horse here, the neighborhood wants development. I think you just heard it with Mr. Nutting. Like, we're not against development. It's a thriving, happy community. We love it. We want more building. We're happy with everything that's there. We just are asking for like-kind development, reasonable planning, for people to take a look at what's there and not put something that doesn't fit with the neighborhood. And again, the idea is we're just against the tower. We're against the tower peering over our kids in school. Being a recent dad, like, that is something now that really hits home. To drive that a little bit further for you guys and put it into kind of perspective, there are no other 4- or 5-story buildings from 99 to 41. Between the two freeways that sit right in the middle, there's no other 4- or 5-story buildings. The closest like-kind property in terms of that height, hotels east of 41, St. Agnes, and Kaiser, all surrounded by giant buffers of parking lots. Not a school, not housing. Professionally for you guys, whether you care or not, I'm a real estate broker. I'm in houses and neighborhoods all around town. I buy and sell. I'm an investor as well. I know this neighborhood and these communities in and out, and I can tell you this is drastically different from what was originally intended. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other individuals who would like to speak in opposition? All right, so go ahead and close all public comments. Let's bring this back to staff. if you would help address some of these concerns in regards to traffic, water, sanitation.
Yes, so are there any specific questions? We do have staff here from the Department of Public Works and Public Utilities as well, if there are specific infrastructure related questions.
Okay. Well, before we do that, are there any things you want to address in regards to the public comments?
Sure, I can address those now as well. Just to touch on a couple of those comments. I do want to reiterate that this proposed text amendment, again, is not a project, so it does not propose a development project on any site throughout our city limits. A couple of those as well. We are not proposing a zone change as part of this text amendment. So this text amendment does not propose to change zoning of any sites citywide as well. And when we discuss zone clearances, the concern over utilities and infrastructure, zone clearances are routed to our internal departments citywide. So when we do have an application that is eligible for ministerial approval that would be processed as a zone clearance, we do route that application to applicable city departments. They would evaluate, capacity and infrastructure related requirements as well. So we do ensure that those are routed to appropriate departments. And then if there are any other, I'll defer to Director Clark.
Can you discuss what rules, what requirements are baked into the ordinance related to water service, fire flows, sewer service, et cetera, that are built in, that are requirements to say yes to a project, certain standards would need to be met? So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So the text amendment does include development impact thresholds. So if a project site is determined to require additional review, it must obtain a development permit. So some of those impact thresholds touch on, if a site assessment is completed or is recommended. If the project is located on land where no urban development has ever occurred, or on a site that could provide suitable habitat for special status species. If the project involves the demolition or change to the exterior building elevations of a building that is over 50 years old. If there's any change on previously undisturbed land. Also from a capacity perspective as well, we do have provisions baked in if the project would exceed certain levels of units as well. So we talk about 224 units for low rise, 225 units for mid rise, or 340 units for high rise apartments that generate more than 800 average daily one-way trips. So development permits will be required for those projects as well. If a project proposes construction on a parcel adjacent to sensitive receptors, a health risk assessment would be required for toxic air contaminants related to construction as well. We also have thresholds for projects located within various traffic zones citywide, TIZ 1, 2, and 4 that would generate more than 200 new peak hour trips. Projects in TIZ 3 that would generate more than 100 new peak hour trips. Projects also within the mixed use districts as mentioned in this code, CMS and CR that generate more than 300 peak hour trips, or projects proposing less than 80% residential development within mixed use districts in the infill priority area that would require a development permit as well. And then if the project can be accommodated within existing infrastructure by the review authority, whatever body that is, in consultation with the Department of Public Works and Public Utilities. So those departments would review applications as well to determine if existing infrastructure is available in the area to serve a proposed development project. We do have infrastructure requirements specific as it pertains to city public utility services, and the flow of pipelines and where those are located citywide. So all of these standards are baked into the development impact thresholds. If projects exceed those standards, then a development permit is required. And we also have similar standards for public works as well. When a proposed residential development that has more than 200 units is in close proximity to a school or activity center, certain provisions may be required, such as bicycle and pedestrian facilities and construction of improvements in accordance with the City of Fresno's complete street policy. So all of those would get reviewed against a proposed project. And if a project exceeds any of the thresholds as noted in this text amendment that would be baked into our development code, then it would require further review and a development permit.
Commissioner Calandra, you have a question?
I have a question on that zoning clearance. Does that mean that if someone has vacant office land and they want to build multifamily on that, they get a free rezone?
So this text amendment does not propose a rezone. So the zone would remain office. However, this text amendment does propose that residential uses would be permitted in the office zone district. Currently, that is not permitted as part of our development code today, the residential use in the office zone district.
Boy, I'll bet the developers are real happy about that. I mean, it just seems, okay, I'll stop there.
Adrian,
Go
you
ahead.
had mentioned at one point, we've gone on a long time now, that there was some kind of appeal process. So say, you decided, or it was decided that someone could build residential in this office zoning, and the neighbors objected to it. Would they or would they not have an appeal process?
There is an appeal process.
And what is that?
I'd be happy to call on our current planning division to clarify that process as well.
Hey guys, please be respectful. When you had your chance to speak, then everyone was very respectful of your term too. Okay. All public comments are closed now. Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. Philip Segrist. Within 15 days of the approval of a zone clearance, an appellant could submit an appeal. So they have, from the date that the zone clearance is approved, they have 15 days to file an appeal, and then it would be considered by the Planning Commission.
How would they know, how would they be notified, or how would they know if there was a zone clearance happening?
Individuals can request to be notified of applications on specific parcels and would be added to the mailing list, the email notification list.
So this neighborhood would probably do that. So I'm thinking about other neighborhoods that might not be as proactive and not know that that was a thing they could do. So they would just, it would just happen. And they would not be notified unless they put their name on a list for every parcel, then they wouldn't know, and it would just happen. Is that correct?
They would need to be registered to receive notification for a specific parcel, yes.
For every empty parcel or possible change from office to...
So it's, again, not a change, right? So it's adding, so there's a list of permitted uses. So we did our, a really great workshop almost a year ago on all of the uses in the development code. So in the development code, there is a list of permitted uses that are within each zone district, right? So there are a lot of P uses that can occur in the office zone district. A gas station, heavy auto repair, there are a number of uses in addition to offices that can occur in an office zone district. This would add a P to that column, right? So permitted, conditionally permitted, and not permitted are the three different options for every kind of land use. So what this text amendment is, one of the things that it is doing would be to consider adding that as a P use in that office column.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Let's go ahead and,
Thank
you.
Yeah.
you-
So, public voice is very important. We the people. I mean, that is, those are the three words that starts our U.S. Constitution. So I heard a lot of our wonderful Fresno people. They're saying that their voices are being silenced. May you please update us on that? Is it true? Is it true? Are the voices being silenced?
So, so the development code provides regulations. This is an opportunity for us to determine what those regulations are, right? And how it's decided. One of the most important things that we do is we work to ensure that every project that walks in the door complies with the development code, right? There are different levels of clearance. Again, we've had workshops on that. What are the different levels of clearance? Zone clearance is the lowest level of clearance, right? Then development permit, working your way up through that process. The higher on the hierarchy, the longer the process takes, et cetera. But it doesn't mean that we haven't all decided on what do those regulations need to look like. If we could all agree on a regulatory set, then it doesn't matter whether, if we're all comfortable with the regulations, right? What I'm hearing is there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable with the regulations. If we're comfortable with the regulations, it can be cleared in a much more expedient manner through zone clearance. It doesn't mean it can't be appealed. It doesn't mean that there is no opportunity for input. And a development permit, so if you're saying the most important thing here is we don't want ministerial, right? We want it to be a development permit. We want it to be heard by the district review committees, right? Development permits don't come to the Planning Commission. Development permits don't go to the City Council, right? They comply with the development code. They're approved. They do go to the district committees for review. If you're saying that the most important thing is that we want that public review, then the ministerial piece is the piece that you want to remove. Not the entire text amendment, but the ministerial piece is the piece that you're saying that you are recommending to remove.
Commissioner Lede, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember it because I had it at the tip of my tongue. In terms of the appeals process, would the developer at the time that any of the neighbors or people that are available to submit an appeal, would the developer have already spent potentially thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to get to the point where the appeal can happen?
I certainly can't speak to, how much it would cost for a developer to submit an application and have that level, right? But before an application is approved, there would need to be obviously certain level of drawings that are submitted, certain review, certain studies that would need to be completed prior to the determining whether or not it met the code.
And in terms of the appeal, if the resistance was strong enough for this not to happen, is that something that is possible?
So again, every project needs to meet the standards and the findings in the development code, right? It either meets the standards and the findings or it does not. An appeal, whether it is many people or one person, if it doesn't meet the findings or if it does meet the findings in the code, then an appeal can be overturned by this body or by the City Council.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have another question. You just said, I believe you said that we could recommend this, but without permitting the ministerial approval. What would we be recommending? Isn't this all about the ministerial approval? I'm not sure what we'd be recommending if we take that out.
So it is what you would be allowing would be or recommending to allow. Again, city council is the final determination. So ministerial is a process, right? The use is what would still, the use would still be permitted within the development code. You're recommending, yes, you can have the use, or no, you can't have the use, or we'd like to see it a conditional use permit, right? So there are many ways that you can go about determining or making a recommendation based on the findings, right, in the code. What is your recommendation to the city council? So it would be without the ministerial. So zone clearance would no longer be an allowed way of processing an application. It would be required to have a development permit.
Again, hey, we, public comment, we're all done with public comment. Let's bring it back to the commission. Do we have any additional questions or comments from the commission? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and, Commissioner Leday, I'll let you first. We'll go one by one if you can provide your input.
Well, I think, sorry, I had my notes. I think the goal of the city and the goal of, I think our goal ultimately is to better serve our community. And I just think that we need to do better collaborating with all of our citizens so that we can all become better neighbors and we can all decrease the housing deficit in a way that we can all move forward.
Commissioner Kreiner.
Yeah, the times that we're in is quite disturbing, and the concern of our residents of not having a voice and not having input is very disturbing to me. When you're looking at a appeal process that could potentially affect something, but folks will not even know that there is something that's on the table that's concerning as well. And then to see the turnout again tonight also gives me empathy, and it raises a level of concern that's pretty high for me as well. Because a community that turns out like this, that says a lot about their love for their community and their love for what's about to happen or could happen, especially when we're looking at the map and looking at where a potential project will go. So my level of concern and frustration is high, and I'll leave it at that, Brother Chair.
Commissioner Diaz.
Good evening. I feel the same way. I feel like there should be a lot of concern. If I was in your shoes, I would probably feel the same way. It's concerning for me. It's concerning that...
Commissioner Diaz, do you mind if you put the microphone?
It's concerning that we will not have a voice, or that you guys would not have a voice. So it's a little concerning for me as well.
Thank you. I'm going to express the same sentiment with my fellow commissioners. I do have my own concerns. I think ultimately, I know when the public spoke, there was a lot of languages directed towards the city staff, but you guys have to remember too that the city staff, they're under the direction of city council to try to develop a plan that's going to be best for the city of Fresno. And I think that the plan they laid out, they're trying to maximize the usage and the development of houses and homes to meet that shortage. So I think they did a good job, but I think the issue becomes, we need to be we need a lot more public input in regards to a lot of these projects that are going to be side by side to a lot of these residences too. Okay.
So I came in here tonight thinking that we should do this, but on reflection, one of the reasons I thought it would be a good idea is my concern over the development of the southeast development area, which is a huge development, and I do think that having some more dense development along the main corridors, along 41 and some of these areas is a good idea. Shockingly, a lot of people like living in those apartments. I know the apartments by City College have, you know, they're sold out before they even finish them. So there are a lot of people who don't want to live in a house with a big yard, and that's okay too. But I am concerned, and even though there is a limited appeal process, I don't think it offers enough input from the whole community. I'm really not talking about your neighborhood. I'm thinking of all the neighborhoods that don't have people who are watching those kind of things. So I would not be in favor of this.
Commissioner Calandra.
I think I was pretty clear that I agree with what has been expressed. I have a real concern when the public's voice is silenced, and that's what this does. And, you know, if there's a parcel in your neighborhood that was zoned for office and then it becomes apartments, I think the residents should have a right to at least see the plans, have a voice in what it's going to, how it's going to affect their neighborhood. And so I just really feel that it not only bypasses the neighborhood's voice, but it also bypasses our voice. And, you know, we are here representing those neighborhoods that maybe don't have a voice, like District 2, for instance. And so I really feel very strongly that this should eliminate the ministerial aspect of it.
Commissioner Shergill.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to the city staff for their dedication, but at the same time, big thank you to the community. You know, Fresno, we have over 600,000 people who reside in Fresno. There are over 100 languages that are spoken in Fresno. And it just, we have a very, very involved area. I mean, Herndon, Marks, all the way up to Herndon and Spruce. If this community is concerned with this, how about, you know, other community members? Like, do they even know that this is happening? Like, this is actually really concerning. I think there is a missing piece. I think the communication is broken. There needs to be a better communication between the citizens, the taxpayers, because we're all taxpayers. We pay taxes on literally everything. There needs to be a better planning, a better collaboration, you know, between the city, between our elected officials, the community that have put us here. I mean, you know, we work for the people. I mean, we are here for our people. Like, literally, I do not even see one person from my district here. I see one person, right, sitting right there. But as a community, for that one Fresno, because I just want to say, Mayor Dyer has a lot of love for this city. He talks about one Fresno. To bring one Fresno, and also our council members, they have a lot of love for the city as well. But to bring one Fresno together, we need to work together, better communication. There are a lot of people, they still cannot use emails. There are, you know, we need, and plus I would also recommend that we need to communicate with our community members in multiple languages. So that way people understand, because we have so many homeowners, they own multiple properties. So let's have let's have a better communication, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so with that being said, do we have any motion, any additional comments, any additional questions? Yeah, motion or comments? You want to give this a go?
I'm going to try. It's kind of convoluted when I look at it this way. I would recommend that, well, okay, help me here. So I want to allow for the uses to change? No.
No, hey,
Wait a
let's,
minute. No, wait.
So let's go ahead and, again, I think,
But the aspect is the ministerial approval. How do I make the motion so it eliminates that? Where the projects have to come before that?
guys, hey, so let's go ahead and, with the previous, would you guys all agree that the last project that came through the commission, we tried our best and we felt was a good decision? So with that being said, put your trust in us, okay? We heard everyone's opinion, everyone's input. Go ahead and trust us to make the right decision, okay? Thank you.
Do you want to make the motion?
Okay, that's fine. When we speak, let's please speak in the microphone so the individual in the back can hear too.
Would you, Jennifer, can you suggest, I know this is not great because you would like to do this, but can you help us with what it is? You can see that we do think it's what you've said, there's a lot of uses allowed in office zoning already. And so we're okay with that. It's the ministerial approval we don't want. So are we denying this whole thing?
Sorry.
So you can do this a number of ways. So if you look in the agenda, the title of the item.
Yes.
So
Can we just go ahead, because our recommendation is going to go to the city council, correct? They're
Correct.
still going to hear it no matter what,
correct.
right? So,
I think we were just all saying that based on everything, we would recommend not to adopt it.
Yeah,
Because
so-
it's just a recommendation.
right, so if I would, Vice Chair Bray, do you want to make a motion to recommend to not adopt
Yes.
the changes?
So I'd like to make a motion to not adopt this and send that on to the city council.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Vice Chair Bray, second by Commissioner Calandra. Let's go and take a roll on this one, please.
Commissioner Lydé.
Yes.
Commissioner Calandra.
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz.
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner.
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Shergill.
Yes, please.
Vice Chair Bray.
Yes.
Chair Vang.
Yes, so the recommendation is to not adopt to the city council. You're welcome. All right, we're going to go ahead and move forward with, well, before we go to new matters, Commission, do you guys want to take a 5-minute break?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break. It's 8 o'clock. We'll resume at 8:05. Thank you. right, everyone. It is 8:06. We're going to go ahead and resume the meeting, okay? So the next item on the agenda we have is new matters. Item ID 25236 is for consideration of vesting tentative tract map number 6475.
Good evening, Chair Vang, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Rob Holt, Supervising Planner with Planning and Development. And tonight, staff brings forth consideration of Track 6475 and its related plan development permit and related environmental assessment. Before getting into this presentation tonight, I provided a memorandum for you, which has 3 changes to the conditions of approval that have been requested by the applicant and approved and accepted by staff. And I will go over these changes during the presentation so you have a full understanding of what is being changed. The subject property is at the northwest corner of Armstrong and McKinley Avenues. It is currently vacant with a house on the corner, the northwest corner, and is surrounded by other rural residential vacant lands to the south, southwest, southeast, east, and north, and then a built-out residential tract to the west. And the current subject property is zoned RS5 with medium-density residential. Also surrounded to the north, east, and west are medium-density residential uses and employment business park to the south. The tract is approximately 5.42 acres, and there is a proposal to subdivide the property with 53 lots and a remainder parcel, which is at the northwest corner where the existing house is located. And that density allows for 9.78 dwelling units per acre, which is consistent with the RS5 zone district, which allows between 5 and 12 dwelling units per acre. There is a planned development to modify certain standards, and this is where the first 2 condition changes come in. But what was proposed originally was just a reduction in rear yard and minimum lot size requirements. What was requested by the applicant was also a removal of the garage to facade requirement, which is allowed in plan developments per policy D4E of our general plan, which promotes innovative lot designs and patterns to enhance community livability in residential neighborhoods through new zoning provisions with flexible development standards. Typically, when you go to a higher density, of course, 12 being the max, they're proposing approximately 10, which is on the higher end. You need smaller lots, which means smaller product. Typically, that would build up to 2 stories, and you get those kinds of flexibilities with the rear yards, the garage to facade and the like. So that was the first request, and that would change conditions 37 in Exhibit H, the tract map conditions, to remove the garage from primary facade, as well as condition 5A in the plan development permit, Exhibit I, number 5A, to remove that as well. What's also included in this is open space at approximately 4,500 square feet at the central location of the map. You can see kind of the small green square, with a landscape outlot that surrounds it along McKinley to provide that landscape buffer, as well as a trail on the south side of McKinley that goes across the entire frontage. All other development standards, setbacks, lot depths, widths will comply with RS5 development standards. And this is, I like to show what the tract actually looks like in real world conditions, how it would overlay and how it would look with the trail connecting going to the west, and the connection of McKinley to Armstrong would be provided along with this track, and potential connectivity to the north along the northwest portion of the tract. I want to go back and show that. If you look at the west side, there is a stub that would allow for future development if public street subdivisions were proposed to the north. And the last change of our conditions is a requirement to remove the sewer line that's proposed along McKinley Avenue only between those 2 proposed streets of the subdivision, which are Bergen, which is to the west, and Douglas to the east, because they would connect to The other proposed sewer main from the center line of Douglas to the east out to Armstrong, which provides connection to the tract and to the remainder of the existing home. And it's specific to sewer that we're talking about. And there's an existing sewer to the west of Bergen. So basically, the sewer would go into the local street, which is Peralta Way, and it would go up through those two streets and connect that way. There is no seeming use for the sewer. This was approved by the Public Utilities Department as well. They are in agreement because there is a canal to the south with no development proposed other than a trail that wouldn't connect to the sewer line. That said, staff recommends adoption of the EA, the environmental assessment, approval of the track map, and approval of the plan development with these proposed changes of the conditions for plan development, removal of the garage to facade setback, as well as the removal of the sewer line in McKinley Avenue between those proposed Bergen and Douglas streets. That concludes staff's presentation. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we have the applicant here?
The applicant is here, and they do have a presentation.
Okay, perfect.
I don't think I'm tall enough for this. Let's see if it'll come down. Can you hear me okay? Chair Vang, other planning commissioners, thank you for letting us speak tonight, and also the presentation from staff for recommendation of the project. My name is Walter Diamond. I live in Fresno, 251 North Millard Avenue. I work for Lennar Homes. We're very excited about this project. I have a little bit of a story to tell you about it to further maybe give you the back history of it, not just because there's a beautiful trail that's going to connect from Armstrong to Fowler. The students will be able to walk along that trail from the new elementary school that's on Fowler and McKinley through into the neighborhoods, and then Wilson is building across the street already on the east side of Armstrong as well. So it's a nice connectivity there with a small pocket park and the trails. But what I'm really excited about the fact is this project started really, in reality, 6 years ago. We were attempting, a group of builders in Lennar Homes, to obtain an easement through this property with the seller along the McKinley future street line to be able to bring master storm facilities for Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control District into the permanent basin. It was a 6-year negotiation. We were able to get that done with some very competent staff on our side and the other builders. And along with that came this project. Normally, Lennar doesn't look at 9-acre projects with 53 lots, but this one worked, and the easement worked because what it did when we were able to attain that, and Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control came in last year and put in all those master storm facilities, it eliminated 30 basin lots and 5 basins, temporary basins in that neighborhood of an area in southeast Fresno that had been over flooding and having a lot of drainage problems over the last couple years. So it provided a safer area and, you know, the permanent master facilities installed in that area. So the story behind this is not just the project, which is a really nice little project. These are our homes that we're going to build, the Celestials, 2 stories, nice product. But that really, the story started 6 years ago on this project and what it brought to the community with the elimination of those temporary basins. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you.
So, thank you. So my question is, affordability is a big issue with the inflation and everything, going up. So do you have an estimation of about how much will these homes be selling for the community?
It's a difficult question, but it's a good question. And because we're so early in the process, marketing establishes sales pricing based on the current market conditions. But what Lennar likes to do, because this will be a first-time buyer, slightly move-up project, we like to be at the bottom of the scale of where all the other builders are selling at. That's our attempt to be where that scale is. We like to be at the bottom of it as best as we can to provide affordable housing for first-time buyers, young couples, professionals, things like that. I can't tell you what that cost is going to be at this time. but it will be, affordable based on what's being sold around in that area.
Will these have some kind of backyard, or do they have like a backyard? Do they have backyards, or is it?
They will.
They'll have backyards?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where do I sign up?
Of course.
Get on the list early.
Commissioner Kreiner, go ahead.
Absolutely.
It's like a wonderful man cave. I like it, man. Don't tell my wife I said that, okay? What does the layout look like for these units? 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1 bath? What is it?
They're mainly 2-bedroom. There's some, I believe, if you look through, we don't have the floor plans, but I think they're 3-bedroom, and there might be some 4-bedroom, but it's mainly. Yeah, there you go. Right here?
Oh, yeah, hold on, wait for it to come up. And you can just travel through.
Okay.
Just hit. Should work. Yeah, there you go. Just keep going until you find it.
There's a 3-bedroom. You can change the fascia, you can change the look on the outside. There's another 3-bedroom. 3 plans. 4-bedroom. So 2 3s and a 4. 3 plans. 53 home sites.
Any other questions? Comments? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank
Appreciate you.
And it's nice to see Commissioner Bray. It's been about 20 years.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to public comments. I do have one card. This says we're going to open it to the public in regards to speaking in support. This individual is Mr. Walter Diamond. This Walter? Oh, okay. That's all right. You know, I try to give you as much time as possible, but if you want more time. Okay. Do we have any other individuals who would like to speak in support? Okay, I see none. Any individuals who would like to speak in opposition? I see none. We'll close all public comments. Do we have any motions or comments by the commission?
I would like to make a motion to approve this project.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Shergill, a second by Commissioner Calandra. Sorry, the name's always difficult for me to pronounce. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, say no. Motion's approved. All right, next on the agenda, our final item is item ID 25285. This is for the consideration of an appeal regarding the denial of variance application number P24-01598.
Excuse me. Good evening, Chair Vang, Commissioners. My name is John George with the Planning and Development Department. Staff bring forth consideration of the appeal of variance application P24-01598. This application was submitted by Jaspal Sidhu of ACE Engineering on behalf of Gurdwara Nanak Sar, an existing Sikh temple. The subject application pertains to the Gurdwara Nanak Sar, which is an existing Sikh religious assembly facility located at the southeast corner of East North and South Cherry Avenues. The subject property is currently developed with a religious facility, dining hall, guest house, and a 25-foot flagpole, which are oriented along South Cherry frontage. The applicant is requesting a variance to relocate the existing 25-foot tall flagpole and replace it with a 75-foot tall flagpole at a new location on the project site. Before I go any further, I wanted to provide the Commission with a brief overview of variance applications, including what they are and how they are intended to be used. A zoning variance is a special permission that allows a property owner to deviate from zoning regulations. provides a mechanism for relief from strict application of the code where where this will deprive the property owner of privileges enjoyed by similar properties because of the subject property's unique and special conditions. These are typically sought when strict adherence to zoning rules would cause undue hardship or limit the property's use. All findings must be able to be made in order to approve a variance. Excuse me. Some examples of this are maybe an odd-shaped piece of property, a triangular piece of property, something that perhaps has an easement through it. There's something unique or, may I say, wrong with the property. The findings that must be made are as follows, and I just have to read these because I can't possibly remember them. The findings are exceptional, extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved that do not apply generally to property in the vicinity, an identical zoning classification, and that the granting of a variance will not constitute a granting of a special privilege inconsistent with the limitations on the property in the vicinity and identical zone classifications. B, the granting of the application is necessary to prevent a physical hardship, which is not the applicant's own actions or the actions of a predecessor in interest. C, the granting of the application will not be detrimental or injurious to property or improvements in the vicinity and will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, general welfare, or convenience, nor the preservation and conservation of open space lands. And finally, the granting of the variance will be consistent with the general purposes and objectives of this code. Any applicable operative plan, the Fresno County Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, adopted by the Fresno County Airport Land Use Commission pursuant to California Public Utilities Code Section 21670-21679.5, and the general plan. As previously mentioned, the subject application requests to relocate an existing 25-foot tall flagpole and replace it with a 75-foot tall flagpole at a new location on the project site. According to the development code, the maximum height for a flagpole is 25 feet. As previously mentioned, and as described in your staff report, the subject property is currently developed as a religious facility with the dining hall, the guest house, and the 25-foot tall flagpole. Well, I'm not sure you can see the slide, but the triangle on Cherry Avenue represents the flag as it exists today. The triangle facing East North Avenue is where is the proposed location for the new one. Under a previously approved application, the religious facility was authorized to construct a new assembly facility, which is currently under construction. This approval included the relocation of the existing 25-foot tall flagpole to be adjacent to the new facility building. The applicant now is requesting to increase the height of the flagpole from 25 feet to 75 feet. Right here is an elevation of, from the plans, and that is an example of the Nishan Sahib, which is the flag that they wish to put in front of the facility. On October 4th, 2024, a notice of intent to take action was sent to property owners within 1,000 feet of the project. Staff received one comment indicating that the flagpole could be a distraction and a potential hazard. The project was reviewed by the District 3 Project Review Committee on October 22nd, 2024, and the committee had no recommendations. Excuse me. On December 23rd, 2024, the Director of Planning and Development denied the variance application as the director was unable to make the necessary findings to approve the project. On December 30th, 2024, the Planning and Development Department received a letter from the applicant requesting an appeal of the decision. Staff notes that a comment letter was received on March 4th, 2025 from the Sikh Council of Central California excuse me, expressing support of the project. Staff notes that the images provided with the letter primarily represent structures that are part of the building, and they are not flagpoles. As such, they are viewed differently by the municipal code. Staff maintains that the necessary findings to approve the project cannot be made. Staff therefore recommends deny the appellant's appeal and uphold the actions of the Planning and Development Department Director to deny variance application number P24-01598, requesting the granting of a variance from the maximum allowable flagpole height. Alternatively, if the Planning Commission decides to grant approval of the variance request, the Commission must adopt the Class 11 categorical exemption and amend the required findings to approve the variance. This concludes staff's presentation. We are available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. George. Question for you. Are there any other flags within the city of Fresno that is higher than that 25-foot?
Not within the city.
Okay. And then I did notice that we received these images. And what they did was they provided crosses that are a lot higher, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we all see that?
Yeah.
Well, as mentioned previously, those are part of the building. And there's a mechanism within the code to allow for a greater height than whatever the highest height could be, whatever the zone district allows. Okay. And the flagpole is looked at differently, and it has a maximum height of 25 feet.
Got you. Go ahead.
So there is a new. First of all, it's not, to clarify, it's not for profit. It's a religious place. It's a gurdwara, a place of worship. How tall is the building? Do you guys have the height of the new building? Because that building seems pretty high already.
Yes, so the height of the building is approximately 96 feet. When that building was approved, the maximum height of that building per the zone district was 60 feet, but at the time of that approval, the development code did allow for an exception to heights for architectural elements such as domes, cupolas, spires, steeples, et cetera. So the director was able, through the development code, to provide an exception to that maximum height limit of 60 feet to allow that 96 feet.
So if the height is 96 feet, and I'm actually looking at the map, I looked at your presentation, the 25-foot pole, which is pretty much right next to, I think, Cherry Avenue?
Yes.
And now the pole is actually, even they're bringing in it's called a Nishan Sahib, the pole, they're bringing it into pretty much into the property. It's even more away from the street. So because it's a religious place, it's not a business. It's not a business. It's a place of worship, place of God. And the building is already 95, 96, tall, and the pole they're requesting, it's only 75. So what's the issue with that? If the building is already approved of that, it's already tall enough, and the pole is even lower than that.
So, Commissioner, thank you. It's a really great question. So there are several federal laws that do not allow us to treat religious institutions any differently than any other business. So we cannot treat a religious institution any differently. So we cannot view that at all in an application. So what we look at, again, the development code outlines what can be permitted on a building versus a standalone structure, right? So like a flagpole, a sign. Flagpoles are actually in the sign section of the ordinance, whereas any kind of accessory on top of a building is in the building standards section of the ordinance. So this is because it's a standalone pole, it has to be treated as a sign/flagpole rather than a portion of the building.
I have a question. For Exhibit 3, would these crosses be considered standalone? And if so, what are the height of these crosses? I don't have that in front of me.
Yep, so for that particular example, they would be probably a standalone structure. However, that church, I think it's Cross City Church, that was developed in the county and was annexed into the city of Fresno, and I think it was probably 2012. So it wasn't reviewed in accordance with our development code standards and reviewed for consistency with height limitations.
So if it were reviewed now, would they have to take it down? Or because they were part of the county when this happened, would they keep the crosses up?
I mean, that would be a separate application we would have to review to go through
So
the code.
it's currently a legal non-conforming structure. So it remains when it comes into the city.
Okay, and do we know the height of this by any chance?
We don't know the exact height of that. We would be able to find that through records obtained from the county. But, I mean, if I had to guesstimate, they would look to be approximately 65 feet.
That may be a good question for the applicant. When the applicant comes up, that's not something staff could answer.
Okay, thank you. And so just to reiterate, if this were something that were to happen, essentially, would it be something that would have to happen for anybody else that were to appeal for would we be opening up a can of worms and now anybody can appeal for a flag that's 75 feet tall?
So the Planning Commission will need to make the findings for the appeal. Again, a variance, we didn't get into that in the presentation, but what is a variance? Okay, you're going to let me do it. All right, so a variance is when there's something wrong with the property that makes it impossible to follow the rules. There's something physically wrong with the property. So, for example, you're on a steep hill and only a portion of the property can be developed, and if they strictly adhere to the development code, they would only be able to develop or not develop at all, right? So it would be undevelopable. So that's when you can say there's something specifically wrong with that property. Sorry, I'm not using the words from the code. I'm using my own words, so bear with me, right? So in this case, you have to show that this property is unique. It's different than any other physical property in the surrounding area, and it cannot develop per the code because there's something wrong with the property, not of the property owner's doing, right? So that's the primary finding that needs to be made in terms of a variance. And then there are the other findings, right? It meets the intent of the general plan and the code and right? But the most important thing is identifying the specific flaw in the property that makes it impossible to build a pole that is 25 feet. Yep.
So if they were to build, say, an obelisk with a flag on the top of it, or that, I don't really consider that a flag, but with that on the top of it, and it was a structure, they could do that.
It would need to be part of the building, right? So this commission has heard a number of variance requests, not variances, but some deviations and some plan development applications that would allow a taller than normal structure on top of a building. So we've had a variety of things that have gone on top of buildings that have exceeded the height limits that the Planning Commission has approved, right? So if it was on top of the building, which I understand that it is not the use of this pole, right? So it would eliminate the religious use of this pole. Again, I can't look at that as in terms of our role to treat it differently than a standard pole, right? But it's my understanding that and the applicant can clarify for us, that the religious use of the pole is different, right? And putting it on top of the building would not then achieve the purpose, right? So what they're asking for is a complete deviation from the development standards, which currently, staff has looked at various options of trying to achieve it and have not been able to find it. So the variance request that we denied is because we cannot find that there's something physically wrong with the property or physically unique to the property that makes it impossible to develop a 25-foot pole.
So like that deal we had down on 41 where the Caltrans blocked the view of the sign.
Correct.
There was something wrong with the property, which is why we were able to approve a higher sign.
Yes, the commission at that time made the finding that the sign, if it was developed per standard, made it unusable, and they needed the higher height. And that was how you made that finding.
So I have a question. So for clarification, you mean something similar to what's in the presentations exhibits, the Mormon Church North Fresno, the object on the top of the Mormon Church, of course, People's Church, the cross at the very top. It's connected to the actual structure itself.
Correct.
Okay. My next question is, would you be able to pull up the slide that shows the location where it previously was 25 feet? I believe that was off of Cherry, right? And then the location where the proposed for it to be moved off of North, if you don't mind.
I believe you're referring to the slide I had with the
correct
little yellow
you kind of had them
triangles.
Both listed.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Oops.
There it is.
There we are.
Okay, and so the applicant's reasoning why is because the previous location would obstruct view? Is that the reasoning why they want it moved? Is it because of that reason? Well, I know the height and all that good stuff, of course, but is part of it because of the obstruction of view from the street, because it'll be 75 feet in the air? Was that part of the reasoning why they wanted it moved from Cherry to North?
To my knowledge, no. To provide a little background, the religious facility was currently operating in the buildings that are along South Cherry Avenue, and so that's where it was existing.
Gotcha.
And then in 2013, they filed an application that allowed for an expansion and a construction of a new, larger assembly facility. And so they're proposing, that's now the no primary sanctuary. And so the flag would be relocated to that section there.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I know the area pretty well. So right now there is not much heavy traffic that's in that area, but there is proposed plans to develop in that area as well. So I definitely understand that there is concern on the height of it. I'll wait for the presentation to ask further questions. Thank you.
So I actually did some work on this as I was actually reading through all this. So here are some findings of for a variance that kind of came up to my mind. Exceptional and extraordinary conditions. The Gurdwara's location in an industry, actually it's an industrial zoning, makes it distinct. From it's not in residential. It's right next to Foster Farms. Unlike other sites, it is surrounded by large-scale buildings and tall structures. Approving this variance would not grant a specific privilege, but rather recognize the unique conditions of this property. Number two, I want to add preventing undue hardship. The Nishan Sahib is an essential part of a Gurdwara. A standard 25-foot flagpole would not provide the visibility to people to see needed for their religious symbol, nor would it serve its historic function of guiding travelers and offering refuge. And let me actually kind of, I think for myself, an educational experience, this place, this flagpole represents if there is a homeless person, if there is a hungry person, if there is a boy, a girl in a need of something hardship, that is a symbol. If they see that symbol, they know that they're able to go to this place and take a refuge for food, for shelter, for safety. A 75-foot Nishan Sahib is to the scale of the Gurdwara's new Darbar Sahib, as I brought it up. It's actually to the scale of the building. It kind of matches with the beautification as well, and necessary to maintain the integrity of the Sikh tradition. No negative impact. The variance will not be detrimental to public health because, as you can see, actually it's moved into the, actually it's away from the street now. It's actually more into the property. So it will not affect any public health, safety, or general welfare. The flagpole does not interfere with any infrastructure, does not obstruct views, because most of the view is pretty much right next to the building. I mean, the building is 90-some, it's tall, it's taller than the pole, and does not impact nearby properties. It complements the existing industrial surroundings and does not compromise the conservation of open space lands. Consistently with Fresno's planning goals, granting this variance aligns with the broader objective of Fresno's zoning and planning policies, ensuring that all communities, especially those with deep cultural and religious significance, can fully and fairly express their traditions. And the thing is, like I said, that flagpole, the biggest thing is the refuge for the needy. If there is a homeless person, there are so many people at that foster farm, a lot of like needy families, they go there every single day to have some food. And there I see a lot of our homeless population, they would, when they see the flag, they'll, oh, okay, I can go there, I can actually have some food there, I can have a safe place. So that's my
Brother Commissioner, I hear you. My concern is to make sure that like we're not breaking any rules and that what we're doing is consistent with everyone else that puts the application in. Otherwise, what if it's someone that has negative intentions or wants to fly or put a flag up that doesn't represent anything that's good and honest? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know there's a presentation we're going to hear. I just want to make sure that we don't do anything and say yes on this one that can open up Pandora's box, and then, God forbid, something else is put up, and you know, DJ, the preacher's gonna have to climb up there and take it down, you know, and Peter's gonna have to catch me, you know. So that's my only concern. I hear you, and I stand with you. I just want to make sure we follow those guidelines. No disrespect, Brother Chair.
Yeah. No, you're fine. I think I have enough muscles to be able to do that, but.
And
Yeah,
thank you for the explanation. I didn't know that's what the flag meant. So now when I drive by and I see it, it'll make me smile knowing it is a place of refuge.
Chair, I would encourage that before the commission discusses anymore, that they take public comment.
Okay, sounds good. Do we have any questions at all for staff? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. George. Appreciate you.
Well, I just want to say thank you to our wonderful staff. You guys have been working very hard. Thank you.
Yep. Do we have the applicant?
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Joga Singh Mahil. I live at 28281 Avenue 7, Madeira. I am a member of the Nanaksar Gurdwara. Asking for they're calling it as a flag. For us, it is not a flag. It's a living symbol of our faith. We treat it that way, that it is living, and it is a symbol for unity, prosperity, everything good about that. This flag, what they call it is Nishan Sahib, we call it living. It is covered, when the Nishan Sahib goes up, the whole pole is covered as same one piece of cloth, because we call it living and we don't want to leave it naked. And this is vital for our Gurdwara, because Gurdwaras are, any Gurdwaras you go in Fresno, you can Google it and look. Every Gurdwara, their Nishan Sahib is same height or taller taller meant was to, you can see the Nishan Sahib from further away, that there is food there, there is worship there. That's what it is for, to recognizing even mile away or 2 miles away. And having this, and you've seen some of the pictures, the exhibits, the last one, that our flagpole, our Nishan Sahib, just goes up on partial way. We have a walking hallway on top that people are going to be taller than our Nishan Sahib. We cannot have that. We need the 75 feet tall Nishan Sahib. It's part of our heritage. It's part of our religion. I mean, it is not it becomes a part of the building, not as a separate piece of a flagpole. It becomes one part. So we need to have that Nishan Sahib at 75 feet. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer for you.
Any questions from the commission?
Is there, and again, I don't know what your religion requires, but is there a way for that to be part of a structure?
No, it cannot, because since we treat it as a living Nishan Sahib, we change the clothing periodically. As it wears down, we change it, and with the ceremonial, our ceremony prayers, and that's when we change the clothing of the Nishan Sahib. Soon as it's worn 3-4 times a year. And once time is for sure on April 13, our Baisakhi Day. That was when it was more introduced. So we cannot have it just a permanent structure. We need to have it on the side so we can take it down and reclothe it and put a new Nishan Sahib on it.
Commissioner Leddy.
Have you looked into any options in terms of where it connects somehow so it's considered a part of the structure?
I don't think it can connect and then it can come down. Oh. I mean, I wish we could, but I don't think it's possible to do that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Crane.
I mean, if it's worried, but if anybody is, you're saying this is going to set a precedent. If everybody wants to set a precedent, it's for religious purpose. Somebody else want to put a cross 150 feet, I'll be in support of that.
We know you will, sir. The only problem is everyone's not you. And that's the concern is, allow me just to say, I'm a pastor of a church, so I definitely understand the religious implications that for a lot of people it's religion, but for yourself, for me, a cross is not religion. It's relationship. It's a way of life.
That's what this is.
I definitely understand that, and I respect that, and I think that's something I just wish everyone could understand. I'm just looking at what our code is saying and how, without attempting to be manipulative, we can still fall in lines of the code while giving what is necessary and needed for the sake of our community. I hear what you're saying that, if there are others that want to put up a cross, the problem is that there are people, and I hope I'm not being out of line. So Jennifer, cut me off quickly because I do not want to go viral on this one. I'm already viral enough in controversial stuff that I say over the pulpit. There are people that will use this good and seek evil out of it and may attempt to say, well, you gave the permission for this to be hung at 75 feet. Why can't we hang what we feel as if it's our way of life? And we all know it's not. We're just trying to see.
That's when your job comes in. You said, no, this is evil. This is not something that we want.
The idea
this is something that good that we're looking for.
And just hear me. I wish that was the easiest way to get out of it. The best way that we have to follow the book of the law or a code that's on paper. That way we can justify what our findings are. So what we're trying to do is just seeing, is there any way that the poll, and I'm no disrespect, all right, I'm saying it based on what we have on paper, is there any connection or ability to connect any form of that poll to the already established structure that's in place? And Jennifer, I don't know if that's with a, I don't know, a chain, what would cause it to be considered connected to the existing structure? You know what I mean? Or would it have to be built into the structure, is what you know what I mean?
Yeah, so to be on the structure, then it would be a part of the building standards, right? So the development standards for the structure itself. To be a standalone, it has to follow these other standards. So I am certain that this commission can craft language for the exceptional, extraordinary circumstances that do not reference religion.
Okay.
In any way, shape, or form. I am certain that you can come up with something that will make this property unique, but you're going to need to make those findings after you hear all of the evidence in the record. So, the other folks that are here to speak.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, sir. You're incredible.
So,
As I'm following the codes as you've seen, this is the first time for me coming up here.
Doing a great job.
The codes, that's a heavy industrial. That's what the code says. Then our churches there. There's residential areas. That's supposed to be houses there. There's churches there. Where is that code? That code says there's residential area. And there's churches in there. Commercial properties, there's churches in there. Every place, churches are given a very leeway on their respect for their religion. So that's what we're asking. Just give us a leeway that this is not in any detrimental. They already proved that. It's not harming anybody, and it's not going to be a hazard or a view destructor.
Okay. Questions, Commissioner Sharga?
by the way, I did, that is one of the best looking building in that whole area. Now, my thing is, let's put religious on the side. We don't want to let's put religious on the side. How does it benefit Fresno community, like for the needies? Like how does the symbolizing of the pole?
Needy is, it says right here that we can do, it is symbol of where there's a place where you can have refuge, place where you can have food, place where you can worship. It's not just for our Sikh religion, it's for every religion. Every religion we consider that as one. It's not, we don't consider the other, we have anything against any other religion. We would welcome anybody.
We get it, okay.
Jennifer, can I ask you another question? I seem to recall that the code says it can be 60 feet tall. Is that correct? From that other one that we did?
No, Phil can explain, but I would encourage the commission to hear all of the public comment first, close the public hearing, and then come back.
I was going to ask him a question based on that.
Okay.
So could you make it comply with the code, which isn't 25 feet, it's some other number, but it's not 75. Would it work for you to have it at, I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe that it's allowable at 60 feet.
60 feet, our building is way taller than that. I know that we can say, okay, yeah, it's fine, 60 feet, but it doesn't, or any gurdwaras, any church gurdwaras don't have, lower than their buildings. It is not acceptable for us.
Could you put it a little further away from the building so it could still be seen from the street and it wouldn't be dwarfed by the building?
But that's where it wouldn't make any difference. We can put it further away, but they're saying the flagpole, it can't be more than 25 feet.
No, I think I may be mistaken, but in the other ones that we did, I believe the code says it can be, and Philip, maybe you can tell me, higher than 25 feet, but not 75. So could you, in order that it wouldn't be, is that true, Philip?
Phil, why don't we do this? Before you speak, why don't we go out to the public, and I want to get this thing moving as much as possible, and then you can come back when we close public comments. Is that okay? So,
We can still ask questions of the applicant.
yeah, we can still ask questions to the applicant.
The question you ask, it's not up to me personally because we're a congregation, it's members. And we, are they going to accept that, okay, we're going to be having, okay, instead of the 75, let's put 60 feet. I can't personally make that decision. It's not.
Correct. Yeah, and we're trying our best to try to find a compromise. I think that's what
I know.
We hope you understand too.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't we? Any questions? Any further questions? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to open this to public comments. If you want to speak in support, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Hello. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Colonel Hardev Singh Gill. I live 656 West Omaha Avenue, Clovis. So, in the Army, we had always a regimental flag and emblem of religious. So, it is allegorically suggesting some moral value. It's a visible symbol of a class of people of Sikh religion. It is as a cross is an emblem for Christianity. From a distance, from a distance, looking at this emblem, anyone, irrespective of his caste, creed, religion, color, background, can enter the institution, we call it a Gurdwara, and get free food, free shelter, and other possible help. No inquiry is made, the individual is a part of the congregation. It is a religious emblem, not a political or national flag. The height of the building is 75 feet. The emblem, it is not a flag, it is not a pole, it is a part of Gurdwara, part of this institution. And anything lower than that, it does not suit to the religion, does not suit the building. It will not be good in look at the building itself. It's a part of the building, not as a pole. Don't call it a pole. It is a flag, we worship it, we salute it, and we die for it. Whenever a Sikh regiment goes in war, we carry this emblem, and they die. In the Second World War, we fought with Americans also. And I fought 2 wars. Why know what's the value of this emblem, not a flag? So I would request you go anywhere in the world, you will find the Gurdwara with the emblem higher than the building. It is not a residential place. It is a separate, it is away from all residents. It is no obstruction to anybody. It is a religious place. I think if we get it, we say 25 feet, not 60 feet, we are not having a bargain over here. We are requesting all the commissioners to understand our problem, to understand our religion, and give us our due. Thank you very much. If you have any question, I can answer.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Do we have the next individual who would like to speak in support? Go ahead and please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Simranjeet Singh. Address 3588 North Goldenrod Avenue, Kerman, California. My name is Simranjeet Singh, and I'm the Fresno Regional Director for the Jukata Movement, a local nonprofit here. I respectfully urge the Fresno City Planning Commission to approve the construction of the 75-foot Nishan Sahib at Nanak Sar Gurdwara on Cherry Street, and override the Planning Department's recommendation. Respectfully, this symbol holds profound significance for the Sikh community, representing unity, faith, and resilience, and will serve as a beacon of inclusivity in our diverse city. As Fresno continues to celebrate its multicultural identity, this monument will further strengthen our commitment to fostering understanding and respect among all cultures and faiths. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Do we have the next individual? Hello, sir. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Avatar Sandhu, 6434 East Brown Avenue, Fresno. Like everyone else said, the same thing from me. I wish it was a business perspective. Like earlier, we heard all that, dollar symbol signs, what coming to city, what's going out. I can better present with my reports and things, but this is not. It's all from the heart. It's for the religion. It's for the community. It's for the unity symbol that we have. That's all. Everyone gonna speak here. It's all for the unity. This symbol is the unity symbol. It's anyone who is a needy person can come in. I had an incident that I can share with. There was a girl walked from the street. She had a backpack and, sorry if I say a bad way, dirty clothes. Looks like she never showered for a few days, shivering. She approached to me. She goes, I heard you guys have food here, free. I go, yes, we do. Am I allowed? I'm a white girl. Say, well, the color doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter, and religion doesn't matter. I pointed her to the Nishan Sahib. You see that on the street? She goes, yes, I see it every day. I said, that means anyone can see it, can come in and fulfill their needs, regardless who you are. And she asked me, can I take a shower? And she thought it was impossible. I said, yeah, we do have women's showers, and you can take a warm shower and thing. And I took her, showed her where the women's restrooms were. She took a shower, and then she asked me, can I wash my clothes? We do have laundry machines there that the people at the premises that do wash, we wash clothes. And I said, well, go ahead. And she ate the food. She took a warm shower. And I don't know how blissful she was feeling. She didn't have to pray Sikhism. She didn't have to join the religion, regardless who you are. And that's what we're trying to preach here. That's what my P&L, that's what my report that I can say as humanitarian benefit, like Mr. Shergill asked, what's the benefit to the community? It's a pure benefit, asking zero returns, not asking your gender, color, or your nationality, or who you worship, what your faith is, regardless. And I can only imagine how happy she was, what needs served. So that's what we're preaching about, or that's what our advertisement out there, the tallest, we like to go even taller than the building so everyone can see it. But here, yes, we have to be whatever, the airways, whatever we have to follow, but we do. But we respectfully, very respectfully ask, if please give us that permission so we can symbolize what I just said. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Go ahead. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Prabjot Singh, and my address is 6620 Northwestern Avenue, Fresno, California. I actually serve as a community organizer with the Jakarta movement. As someone that works directly with the youth from across the city, I strongly advocate for the approval of the 75-foot Nishan Sahib as a symbol of unity, inclusion, and for all of Fresno's residents. This monument represents not only the Sikh community, but it also the shared values of diversity and mutual respect that defines the city. Approving it would send a clear message that Fresno stands as a place where all cultures, faiths, identities are celebrated and recognized, paving the way for a stronger, more connected community for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have another individual who'd like to speak in? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Sounds good.
Good evening, Commissioner. One second, let me get this right. Good evening, Chairman Vang and Planning Commissioners. My name is Nav Gurm. I live at 2063 North Bliss Avenue in Fresno. My family moved to this community in 2010, and I was in about 4th grade, and I've been going to Gurdwara Nanak Sar Sahib since then. I had a lot more to say. I'm just going to kind of skip over some parts. First of all, I want to begin by thanking you guys all for being very thoughtful policymakers and just the thoughtfulness you're bringing to this body. I want to come at it from the point of how I look at it. Cases like this are exactly why variances exist. Our city code is made by you guys and the city council, our policymaking body, and our planning department thoroughly implements it. And I think sometimes you need to deviate from that code, and this is one of those special cases. I know the planning department came out with some findings based on the 4 criteria you need to implement a variance. I think each of those 4 criteria can be met based on the application put forward as is. So I just want to quickly kind of walk through an alternate set of findings that I think highlight why this variance should be granted as is. The first criteria, exceptional and extraordinary conditions. This is a religious institution located in an industrial zone district. The buildings there are all, well over the 80-foot height mark. Another point of fact I just add to it is this wouldn't be the largest Nishan Sahib in Fresno County. Gurdwara Nanak Prakash Sahib, located off Clovis Avenue in 99, that one is located over 80 feet. That does fall into the county. But really, I think we meet the first criteria, exceptional and extraordinary conditions here. You have a Gurdwara located in an industrial zone with the Gurdwara that's going to be touching close to 100 feet. I want to say it was 96. Preventing undue hardship. The community has spoken behind me. There is undue hardship here. This is a sacred religious symbol. This is about preserving Fresno's rich cultural diversity and our tapestry. And I think the third one, no negative impact. What you have here is not a flagpole that's going to disrupt airways. It has a clear setback in place. Traditionally, these Nishan Sahibs do go closer to the road, but with this project site, there is a setback in place. And really, I think if you go and read the preamble to Fresno's planning documents, they all go, it all begins along the lines of preserving Fresno's rich cultural and rich diversity. So all in all, I can really just want to say that I think we have put forward a variance application that does meet the criteria. And I think this is exactly the case. This is exactly why we have a code, and there's a lot need for variances to that code. And to Pastor Kreiner's point, I think your line of questioning is something I, as a Fresno citizen, really do appreciate. But I think there's going to be good people like you sitting in this seat and good people sitting on the city council to make sure that those bad actors, those variances for those cases don't go through. But here, you have the city code in place. No flag is going to go above 25. We have a variance application in front of you, and we're asking for that. We're asking for this exception given the criteria. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Do we have any other individuals who would like to speak in support? Go ahead. Good evening. Go ahead and please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Hi, my name is Gurdal Singh Desi. My address is 2488 South Bundy Drive, Fresno, 93727. I've been working for libraries since 1996, almost 29 years. The people know me just looking at me, my turban, that I'm Sikh. So it's the same symbol as the Gurdwara temple. When people look up from far, they know they can go there, free food, shelter, and they can pray without any question asked. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other individuals who would like to speak? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Harjinder Saini, 2977 North Wahi Avenue, Fresno. I've been the resident of the city of Fresno for past 7 years. This city has invited me with open arms, let me wear my turban proudly, where a lot of places in our country is not very inclusive. I found this city to be very inclusive. This city has given me the chance to show who I am without worrying about discrimination and our great mayor vision of One Fresno. This is so important for us. That's why you guys have a chance to make this into a reality for that little kid that's wearing a turban in the school and he is thinking, should I really wear this for the rest of my life? Am I going to be bullied? Am I going to be treated differently? This symbol, when the kids see that Nishan Sahib, and a lot of the kids that look like them, they feel comfortable. So this is not a flagpole. I know there is no English translation for Nishan Sahib. Flagpole is not a translation. Just like there's a lot of times when you are in a different country, there's a lot of cultural differences. And in Fresno, we are such a diverse community where there's so many, like Planning Commissioner Gurdeep mentioned, we have over 100 languages spoken here. We are inclusive. Our mayor always starts with that, that we are one Fresno. So this is our chance, guys. If we as a city want to be inclusive to our culture and other communities, and if we want to really reflect the spirit of One Fresno, the variance of this Nishan Sahib should be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other individuals who would like to speak? All right, so we're going to go ahead and close the comments in regards to supporting. Any individual who would like to speak in opposition? All right, I see none. Let's bring it back to staff. Phil, I believe Vice Chair Bray had questions in regards to the height of the other structure, correct?
Yeah, so just to provide a quick overview, the subject property is located in the heavy industrial district. And so the maximum building height for that zone district is 60 feet tall. But the code does provide height limitations for flagpoles. That's in the our sign section, and the maximum height for specific to flagpoles is 25 feet. The code does allow some height, some exceptions to heights for certain structures. That would include skylights, solar panels, parapets on top of roofs. And one of those exceptions is for flagpoles, but that would only allow an exception of 16 feet. From a flagpole. So again, that would, if we applied that 16 feet, they could get a flagpole of approximately 41 feet tall. And again, there's different height requirements for flagpoles and then like buildings, which are considered structures.
So I have another idea. I think we all want to make this work out for them, and I think we need to take the religion out of it because we're not allowed to consider that. So this can't be based on religion. It needs to be based on business. So I have an idea. How high is that sign at Manchester on the side of the freeway?
So the Manchester sign was granted through a master sign program. So a master sign program, let me go find what a master sign program is from the code so I can read that to you. That we did discuss that internally, but that was, we didn't feel was a good alternative. Specifically, so it's intended as in an integrated shopping center. A master sign program is for an integrated shopping center. And here are the findings, and there are a lot.
Could I just know how tall that is?
You design, it's a design your own standard.
I know, but that one, how tall is it?
I don't remember. I
I
think
think
it's
that
like
one's
90
like
feet.
80 to 90 feet tall.
Right, that's what I thought. So I just have an idea of how we might be able to work this out. We take the religion out of it, and it's clearly, from what they've described, not a flagpole, okay? It's an advertisement. just like that sign is for the shopping center, and it's an advertisement to people that they can come there and get help. So to me, that might make it allowable because it's not a flagpole. You know, he might think that, but in their culture, it is not. And so if it's an advertisement, then it's advertising to people that they could come to this place and get help, just like the sign at Manchester is advertising that you can go there and go shopping. And so would we be able to get away with that? Just be honest.
Or that would require like a new application?
It would require a new application. But so the commission could essentially deny the appeal, uphold the director's decision, it's not a flagpole. And you can say it's a sign, it's an advertising sign. And then the application would be for the master sign program. We did look at it. We feel it would be somewhat challenging to meet all of the requirements for the master sign program. However, you know, we've looked at this from a number of different angles, right? So is it a sign? The maximum sign height for the size of structures that they have would only be 20 feet, right? So if we call it just a sign, just plain code would be 20 feet. A flagpole can be 25 feet, right? So could it be a plan development application? Extremely expensive. I think we'd probably want to try the master sign program process, but there are 5 findings and number 5 has 6 sub-findings. I think that it talks about future tenants having adequate opportunities to, erect signs for identification, directional signage. I think it's a challenge to meet the findings, but if the commission says this is not a flagpole, this is a sign, which I don't disagree with, right? But I think it's a way to get there. They would have to go through that process for the master sign program.
Would that cost a lot of money?
Master sign program is not very expensive. I don't remember what it is.
But Jennifer, you also said that if there is a variant that's in place, we can craft language that would suggest that a variance gets taken place, so we can move forward with trying to get this done, right?
You can certainly try to make the findings, and here's where I think you really need to focus on these findings.
Can you put the findings back up on our screen?
Yep, we can do that.
Exceptional,
they're in the
undue
presentation.
hardships, no negative impact.
There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved that do not apply generally to property in the vicinity and identical zoning classification. So you're saying there's something different about this in heavy industrially zoned property,
right,
that is not that's different from all the other heavy zone industrial zone property in the area, right?
I think we may have crafted just a little bit. Commissioner?
Well, I'm happy to hear the rest of what you
Okay.
have to say.
I just saw the lights was twinkling. It was almost as if the mayor or God was like, come on, let's, yeah.
The lights were saying
Yeah,
it's
like
time
I
to go
was like,
home.
hey, let's.
You have 40 minutes. Okay, so or you have to extend the meeting. That do not generally apply to property in the vicinity and identical zoning classification, and that the granting of a variance will not constitute a granting of a special privilege. So you're not granting it just for this particular use. You're granting it because the property, there's something different about this property, with the limitations on the property in the vicinity and identical zone classifications. I think you need to focus on that one, and you need to focus on the granting of the application is necessary to prevent a physical hardship of the land, not of the use, not of the land, right? Prevent a physical hardship, which is not of the applicant's own actions or the actions of a predecessor in interest. So, Those are the other two, I think, I'm sure you can craft findings for, right?
Is it okay if I provide clarification
Go
that
ahead.
staff was able to make finding C, so only findings A, B, and D would need to be amended?
Okay, so by saying that they are providing a service that is not available at any of the other sites that have that same zoning, that's not sufficient.
It's not a unique or, it's not an exceptional or extraordinary circumstance or condition applicable to the property.
Property.
So what is unique to the property?
Okay, I think I have a few that we can try out if you guys want to let me know if this sounds. So, so required findings, a special circumstance or extraordinary circumstance. The property is uniquely situated in such a way that the zoning height limit of 25 feet would result in undue hardship, preventing the flagpole from serving its intended civic, non-religious purpose of visibility. Is that something that would negate or prove that?
I would leave it up to the commission. What is the thing that is, I go back to using non-code terms. What is wrong with the property?
It's too big.
The property is too large.
Yeah.
And that's unique in that area. There aren't any other large properties in that area.
I don't know
It's
how
not-
large other
It's
properties
too
are in that area.
To see a small sign.
Too large to
In the
see.
industrial area, yes, the fact that the property is too large to see the signage on the building, it limits the visibility of the sign for community needs of food and other needs of the community.
I would leave out that last part because that has nothing to do with what's wrong with the property.
In a heavy industrial area.
In a heavy industrial area, right?
The
Heavy
heavy
industrial
industrial.
property in a heavy industrial area, right? That can be used for D or.
Yep.
Yeah, so that other piece can be used for D.
So we have C and D. Okay, now
What
we
we're
need A
missing,
and B.
A?
So I have another one, minimum necessary. The requested 75-foot height is the minimum necessary to fulfill the flagpole's intended purpose and ensure its visibility given the size and location of the property and surrounding landscape/heavy industrial use. Is that kind of the same thing, or can we apply that to A and B?
That is kind of the same thing, right? So, I know
B, so
Commissioner
no
Shergill
conflict.
went out to the area and observed the area. Is there something that you can identify that's unique about this property, not the use, unique about this property that you don't see on other properties, or that make it impossible, or, that they couldn't comply with the code?
Well, the thing is, it's already like over 95. The length is pretty tall. It's a huge building.
Not the building,
No,
the
not
property.
The and the property. Property itself it's a large parcel.
Can't access it.
5.4 acres.
Yeah.
Okay. And there aren't any other 5-acre parcels in the area.
No, the closest parcel in the area that's even close to it would be the area where the Starbucks and the gas station is down the street. And it's not even the same size parcel.
Is there any way we can find out what the other parcels are? What the
The
largest
Jack in the
parcel
Box.
is in the area?
What's the,
Starbucks, gas station.
Can we also say that like there are there's a special the structure of the property?
Actually behind it.
Oh, sorry, no, we
Focus
gotta
on the property.
yeah.
The land.
The
Think
land.
land, right?
What
What
did
is
you s-
unique
what did you see out
to
there?
the area?
Put the land map up one more time, bro.
Thank you. I'm going to make you guys earn it tonight.
Yeah, I can
Oh,
tell.
we're gonna earn it.
I can
like
tell,
playing
yeah.
charades right now.
Toss us a softball.
Is
We just have to
the
hit it.
thing that's unique to the land, that
What's
it
the-
is a large parcel, and
It's the only developed land.
it would be difficult to see the advertisement
No, it's terrible.
from far away because it's so far into the
pull up,
piece of
go to
property
Google
if
Maps?
it's only
Can you go to
25
Google
feet.
Maps? Give me an aerial, please.
Google Maps.
Would that work, Jennifer?
Can you do the Google map
Yep, Carrie's working on it right now.
So would it work to say that the size of the piece of property is such that where the advertisement has to go is so far into the property that it can't be seen as is intended for its purpose at 25 feet? That work?
So if you're calling it a sign, an advertising sign, rather than a flagpole, right, which is one of the things, or whatever you need to do to get it there, right, it's not required to be set that far back. So the setback is not a development code issue. So are we able to get aerial up? Okay, so if you'll zoom out a little bit.
What if we say, since it's in a heavy industrial zone, the land is typically reserved for manufacturing, warehouses, and other industrial activities? However, extraordinary circumstances might justify allowing a non-industrial use in such an area, and that circumstance would typically need to be unique to that property or situation that would outweigh the standard zoning restrictions.
That can be one way. I was going to point out that just to the west of the property is a unique feature. It's an elevated roadway called the Highway 41.
Off of it limits the visibility off of the freeway. Or there is
elevated roadway.
There's an elevated roadway
special
restricts the visibility of the sign.
That is a finding.
Okay.
Yes, there you
Somebody,
go.
y'all find me some food.
All right, so going back to our findings.
Now we just need B.
So what is exceptional, right? It's unique to this particular area because when you get further south to Central, it's at grade. At North Avenue, Highway 41 is elevated, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's an elevated freeway, which is in extraordinary circumstances, is not applicable to all property in the area because of its proximity to the Highway 41 freeway, right? Okay, so now the second one is the granting of the application is necessary to prevent a physical hardship. So what is the physical hardship that exists on this property?
So the physical hardship, like to the property itself?
To the property itself. So my example at the beginning was a steep hill, or you could,
The ponding basin?
is it adjacent?
Yes, right next to it.
Can we see the map?
Can you pull the aerial back up? Carrie's trying to hydrate.
No, it's right next to it.
It's been a long meeting.
Sorry, we got you going back and forth today. It's right next to it.
Yeah, right there.
Is that a ponding basin? An FMFCD ponding basin? So, is that on this property?
It's right next to the property, to the right.
Next to it.
You can make up whatever findings you want. I'm just trying to help you get there and to think logically through what does it take to make a finding.
Yeah, I mean, it's perhaps the ponding basin or the irregular property shape, since it's not a property that is going to look like any other property in the area or any properties that look like that in Fresno, or access issues. It is off of that freeway or near the freeway, so that could be an issue of access.
Okay.
You guys?
This is kind of goofy, but is it considered undue hardship because of the property that it's flat? And that if they had a hill there and they had a 50-foot hill and they put a 25-foot pole on it, that would be an undue hardship.
So
requiring them
it's not undue. So the physical hardship that exists on the property is that it is flat.
Yes.
And if they had to build a hill to make it be able to be 75 feet, that's a lot of dirt, and that's an undue hardship.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, so I need somebody to summarize all of your findings and make a motion.
Can we put the findings back on? Or there,
All right, so do we have a motion by
I-
Commissioner Lede? Or
I make the motion.
are you going to state the findings too?
Oh, man, I forgot to take the notes though.
go for it. If you took the notes, go for it, because I'm bouncing
Oh, no,
all
I didn't,
over my
sorry, I
notes.
didn't take any notes.
Well, Commissioner,
I'll do my best.
Commissioner Lede, why don't you make the motion with the findings, and then you can second, okay?
Okay, goodness. Let's see, am I going to motion to,
Deny
I'm not
I
gonna,
think you're going to read the findings, and Commissioner was that?
okay,
You're
I can
doing
read
the
the
findings,
findings.
and then you're going to do the motion. Is that how that was working? I wasn't sure.
That's fine.
I was going to have her do the motion along with the findings,
And I'll
then
second.
he'll second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your motion is going to be to uphold the appeal,
I motion to uphold the appeal.
deny the director determination,
Deny the direct determination.
and
And?
make the following
adopt the
findings.
environmental
Adopt the
assessments.
environmental assessments,
And adopt the environmental assessment.
to make the findings.
To make the
Now
findings.
go ahead. What are your
So
findings?
A, that there is an exceptional, extraordinary circumstance or condition applicable to the property that don't apply to other properties in the vicinity, and identical zoning and approval will not constitute a special privilege inconsistent with the limitations on the property in the vicinity and identical zone classifications based on, oh goodness, what was one? Or A. Sorry, guys, I'm looking for it. The special circumstance, I believe, was the size of the building and the setback.
The flat.
Oh, sorry, the elevation of the building. And B is necessary to prevent a physical hardship, which is not of the applicant's own action or the actions of predecessor in interest. I believe that was the ponding basin that was east of the property. And then C will not be detrimental or injurious to property or improvements in the vicinity and will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, general welfare, or convenience, nor the preservation and conservation of an open space lands. C. And then D will be consistent with the purpose and objectives of the code applicable operative plans, the Fresno County Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, and the general plan.
Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. So we have a motion made by Commissioner Lede, second by Commissioner Shergill. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, say no. Congratulations. You're welcome. Thank you to the Secretary. Any reports from the Secretary?
Sausage making 101. You can come work in our factory any day. All right, so Chair and Commission, Commissioner Shergill had asked at the beginning of the meeting for an update on the West Area Neighborhood Specific Plan EIR. It is anticipated that will be published in mid-March for recirculation. It will be a 45-day comment period. Then we will have to do our response to comments before the final EIR and plan can go back to Planning Commission and City Council. So as you recall, it was recommended approval by the Planning Commission, City Council, referred it back to staff, asked for specific changes to be made. A number of state laws changed in the meantime. We had to redo all of the environmental. So the recirculated environmental is going to be published probably within the next 2 weeks. Yep. And there will be a lot of items coming up in the next couple of meetings. I'm not sure specifically what's on our next meeting. I do know that we are going to have a workshop from our Housing and Community Development Division on the new consolidated plan. This is for a workshop. It's not specifically for public comment, but I think that the commission will be very interested because we're going to be doing a workshop on the citizen participation plan. How do we engage the public on all of our federal HUD dollars? And how do we ensure that we're providing that information out to the public, right? So that's something that the commission had asked for, several months ago. We're in the middle of that process, and so we asked them, they'll be doing a workshop. And then later this spring in April, you will be hearing, probably in April, possibly May, the Southeast Development Area Specific Plan and EIR, and then VMT, Vehicle Miles Traveled, and EIR. And then later this summer, there will be other documents. I have had a request from one of the commissioners to try to get documents to you, large documents to you sooner. Those that are available and have been available online for some time, what we'll do is we'll send those out, the links out to you so you can review them before they are a part of the packet. When they're on the public, we have a lot of public review documents that are out on the city's web, and you may not have known that they were there and can review them in advance of a meeting, which would give you more time, because I do know that Friday to Thursday can feel like an enormous lift for several hundred pages of documents. So we will do our best to make sure that if there are public review documents out there, we'll get those out to you in advance. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the softball earlier, too. Just do that up for us. Appreciate you. But do we have any unscheduled oral communications? See none. It's 9:38. Meeting's adjourned. Everyone have a wonderful night.